NBC Sports Network welcomes you to the following presentation of the IZOD IndyCar Series.
Here at Barber Motorsports Park, a rolling course through Alabama hills replaces last week's city street course of St. Petersburg, Florida. Since early this morning, thousands of fans have been setting up unique vantage points along one of the most picturesque venues in motorsports, ready to watch the stars of the IZOD IndyCar Series. You just saw Tony Kanaan on IndyCar 36. Today he starts sixth, looking to put last weekend's disappointment behind him. Helio Castroneves won the season opener and will start from pole today, trying to win back-to-back races, while Scott Dixon hopes to get the victory lane after consecutive runner-up finishes here at Barber. Meanwhile, three-time defending series champion Dario Franchitti and two-time series runner-up Will Power will have to work their way up from the middle of the pack in an attempt to put their own March Madness behind them. This is IndyCar Central, presented by Verizon, as we set the stage for today's 214-mile race. Hi, everyone. I'm Bob Jenkins. Welcome to our first race telecast of the year for the IZOD IndyCar Series here on the NBC Sports Network. You know, last weekend at the start of the season, we knew there would be a lot of storylines with new cars, new chassis. What we didn't know was that the two drivers who battled for the championship last year, Dario Franchitti and Will Power, would not be on the podium at the end of the race, and their misfortunes seem to continue here this weekend. For more on that, here's Marty Snyder.
Well, Bob, it certainly has been a surprising start to the season, and that's continued here at Barber. One of the themes we're going to be watching today is all the fast guys who start in the back, like Dario Franchitti, who starts 18th. I'll ask him in a few minutes what he's going to do to win from 18th. I'll also talk to him about Honda, why they've had such a rough start to the season so far. Now it's my honor to introduce the newest member of our NBC Sports Network family, driver/broadcaster, Townsend Bell. Townsend, how you doing?
Great, Marty. Thanks a lot. It's great to be part of this NBC Sports team. I'm down here at the Verizon pits, Will Power's pits. He's going to start 9th today. Wait a second. Will Power, 9th. Well, what happened is the red flag came out on his quick lap. It didn't count. Tempers were flaring a little bit. It's going to be fun to watch these guys charge to the front. Bob?
Townsend, great to have you with us. And by the way, he's still an active driver, so maybe wearing two hats occasionally this year. As we indicated last week at St. Petersburg, a long dry spell came to an end when Helio went into victory lane.
It's Dixon, Hunter-Reay, Castroneves, your top three.
Helio's been pretty happy with his race car up until this point. Remember, he's on a two-stop strategy.
Ryan Hunter-Reay, he is now pulled off. Dixon is going to come in this lap, and Castroneves stays out.
Castroneves make his way down pit lane as well. Dixon will fly past him out on the racetrack.
The guys that are in the catbird seat, Helio Castroneves and Scott Dixon. What a move!
25 to go, your P1.
Helio Castroneves about to pull into victory lane for the third time on the beautiful streets of St. Petersburg, Florida. Castroneves is pulled to a stop, and he is climbing the fence in turn number 10.
A very touching, fitting way to end it as he pats his heart and pats the sign that says Dan Weldon West.
And Helio Castroneves will try to go 2 for 2 in 2012 here today, and he joins me on our set at the IndyCar Fan Village, and we've got a few friends here, my friend. Everything is here. This is the place to hang out on IndyCar weekends. There's a Ferris wheel. It's actually the Ferris wheel from Michael Jackson's Neverland. There is a zip line here, plenty of things to do. I don't think they came to see me. I think they're here for you.
Let me tell you, first of all, I want to thank, obviously, AAA and Shell Pennzoil, Verizon, SKF. Those guys been supporting me last year. They believe me after the win last week. Certainly, we're really pumped for this year, for this race. And now having these fans here, I mean, this is fantastic. I mean, I got to go to the race car. I got to be focused, but these guys are incredible.
It had been a rough year for you last year. 11th in the championship. You hadn't won since near the end of 2010. What did it do for you to start off this season with a win?
Well, no question about it. Always when you start with a win, it helps. I mean, you got to admit, it's always fresh for everybody else, not only for myself, but for the entire Team Penske, especially the number 3 group. So we're looking good. Again, now we're in the right momentum. We're starting the right position today, and we got to keep moving forward. We can't thinking about the past. We just got to thinking about what we need to do to make to the future.
The race was very much in question going into the last set of pit stops. Scott Dixon came in a lap earlier than you. Then you came in, and you guys really battled, as we see here on that that last lap, and you go into the outside there.
That's right. Unfortunately, the TV missed a little bit, actually, the action, because as soon as I get off the pit, I pass him, and then he passed me back. So it was a great battle. In the end of the day, Shell Pennzoil Ultra, that race was really, really fast, and I'm so glad we ended up finishing first. And now I'm so glad we started with the AAA P1 as well.
And we know you know how to celebrate. That was a great finish and a lot of fun last week. Elio Castroneves will be starting on the pole here today at Barber Motorsports Park. Thank you so much for coming up. Good luck today. Another one of the contenders, Scott Dixon, is with Marty Snyder.
Well, Kevin, Scott Dixon's finished second here the last 2 years. What's been the one, you kind of shrugged your shoulders, what's been the one missing piece, though, to keep you from victory lane here at Barber?
I guess that first spot, but yeah, no, it's been a good showing for Team Target. I think the last 2 years we've been second and third, so it's been a good result for the team and good points days. Obviously, Penske, I think, finished first both those times with Elio and Will last year, so we got a little bit of work to do, and we're still struggling a little bit for the first 2 races this season, but hopefully we can turn that around and make the best of it.
The good news of that, though, is you finally, for once, got out of St. Pete clean. Even though Chevy's so good this year, is your team a team that can win the championship?
Yeah, we can definitely win. Obviously, they've proved that over the last 4 years that they've won all of the championships. So, I think we've got a good shot. I think we've maybe come out of the box a little slower than we would have liked. But I know everybody's working furiously to make sure that we can make those gains back and obviously have a good finish. So, fingers crossed, Team Target will be good today. And I got to say hi to Emma and the girls at home, and Susie and Sebastian and Oliver and Holly and St. Pete and the Wadham family in England.
All right, and he will start third today, looking for that one extra little position here at Barber, Kevin.
All right, thank you, Marty. And it's been a much different start to the season than what Scott Dixon is used to the last few years. And you see what he's ultimately done to climb back into the championship since he last won it in 2008 for the second time. So it makes you wonder what he can do this year with a good start to this season. Well, Team Penske has been the team to beat here. They've won both times at Barber. Elio won in 2010, and Will Power led every lap last season. And they've also won the pole all 3 years here.
Barber Motorsports Park. Marco takes the lead. He runs Elio off. So it's Andretti, Castroneves, Dixon, Kanaan, and Power. Marco has to relinquish the lead for a splash of fuel. Elio Castroneves, through hit strategy, wins the Indy Grand Prix of Alabama.
Will Power is out in front. Let's see if Dixon's going to make the move.
Chip Ganassi came over to Will Power's pits. The complaint was from Scott Dixon on the last restart. Power had chopped him off twice. They asked officials to warn Power, and then Mr. Ganassi came down and said, if your guy does that again, I'm going to tell my guy just to take him out.
The battle up front gets closer and closer. Will Power goes to victory lane.
IndyCar Central on NBC Sports Network is presented by Verizon, official wireless partner of the IZOD IndyCar Series.
Beautiful area shot of this scenic motorsports park. Barber Motorsports Park just outside of Birmingham, Alabama for round number 2 of the 2012 IZOD IndyCar Series Championship. Here's a look at the points after race number 1. Chevy cars, 4 of the top 5. And also it's notable that we see Will Power, the runner-up the last 2 years, in 7th, and the 3-time defending champ Dario Franchitti not shown on the page. He finished 13th in the season opener. And Will Power is going to have to start further back than what he's accustomed. His worst start for a non-oval since joining Team Penske. Ryan Hunter-Ray brought out the caution, and that wiped out a hot lap Power was on. The session was then red flagged, and that is going to force Will Power to start back in the 9th position. Hunter-Ray explaining what happened to Will Power yesterday. Let's hear from Will. He is with Townsend Bell.
Thanks, Kevin. So unbelievable. Mr. Speed here starting 9th today. Will, yesterday, tough situation, a lot of controversy on the red flag coming out. You jumped out of the car. You were pretty hot. How mad are you now?
I'm focusing on the race, man. I haven't even given it a thought. I mean, yeah, it was a little bit disappointing considering the pace that we had. But, this is the new rules. I wasn't aware of that before. And, in the past, we probably would have got another lap. So that's racing, but move on.
Now, watching St. Pete, the front wing on this car looks really tough. Any chance it's going to be a little bumper for you today?
Well, you can't. If you touch someone, you'll damage your front wing and you'll end up having to pit, or you just have a bad day. Well, there's some lightning, but Yeah, you know, it's just got to be clean for us. We got to be smart and get some points.
Well, guys, I can see a little bit of fire in Will's eyes. It's going to be fun to watch. Marty, what's going on with you?
There's fire above our heads. Exactly what's going on, Townsend, and more. So continuing the theme, you start 18th today, Dario Franchitti. How do you win from 18?
Well, I'm using this artillery, and I'm going to
take everybody else out, right?
Yeah, I guess that's about it right now. We got a difficult day ahead of us today with a Clorox car. Dug ourselves in a hole yesterday, just searching for something makes me comfortable in this car that I can drive it quickly. We went a little too far yesterday in qualifying and missed it. Found ourselves 18th, so Scott's found something he's happy with, but he drives the car a lot differently than me, so the Target boys are working really, really hard, and we'll just see what we can do from 18th today.
It has been such a rough start to the season, so what is step one to get this whole thing fixed for you guys?
We're just figuring, first of all, try and get a balance with a car that works. That's what we need to be doing in practice and certainly in qualifying. In the race today, just do what we know how to do, just go every lap like it's a qualifying lap. The guys do good calls and strategy, good pit stops. Let's see what we get.
I'm assuming it was a happy household evening last night. Kentucky won. You going to New Orleans tomorrow or what?
I'm not going, actually. I've got enough going on right now trying to get this Target car quick, but yeah, the wife was very, very happy last night. That was a great performance. She's heading off to tomorrow morning, I guess, to go down there and watch the Final Four, but yeah, if only we could be as successful as them right now, I'd be pretty happy.
All right, he's going to support his wife as Kentucky advances, Kevin.
All right, thank you, Marty. And there's a look at the Clorox car that Dario will be in this weekend. As you mentioned, he has to work his way back from 18th position. Well, this year's new car provided several new safety features for drivers, but for one driver, it presented a bit of a challenge in the floor of the cockpit. And that's the subject of this week's Professor B with Jan Beekes.
In any other sport, if someone had won 3 consecutive championships using a different technique, of course, you'd expect everyone to migrate to that style. The exact opposite has happened in IndyCar racing. Dario Franchitti is the only driver left using the right foot braking technique. And here's why.
For me, it would be the equivalent of asking a golfer who plays left-handed to play right-handed. It's the way I brace myself in the car with a dead pedal. It's the feeling I have for that right foot, that last bit, whether it's going on the brake pedal, feeling the limit, or coming off the brake pedal as you enter the corner and managing that speed and the attitude of the car and all those things. This whole right foot's been pretty good so far, so we'll stick with it a few years longer.
The 2012 chassis has a hand clutch on the steering wheel, so if you look in Scott Dixon's footwell, you'll see it's a traditional European pedal setup. Left foot on the brake, right foot on the throttle. Now for Dario Franchitti, this system doesn't work because look at the pedal pads from Scott Dixon's car. There are shrouds on the side that prevent you from rolling from one to the other. So Dallara made special pedals that incline them over to the right. And if you look inside Dario Franchitti's footwell, you'll see they made custom foot pads so he can slide from one to the other. But the most important feature is he has a footrest to the left to hold him in the car with the left foot he's not using. But Dario Franchitti didn't have access to those pedals for the first 4 tests of the year, and he found that transition very difficult.
Thank you, Jan. It should be interesting today with a lot of different storylines. Franchitti starting in the back, Ryan Briscoe, Will Power in the middle. And what about blocking and defending? We'll get into that debate coming up next. Fans continue to file in as we get set for IndyCar racing here on the road course at Barber Motorsports Park. Not only is the NBC Sports Network the home for IndyCar, but also the NHL. And tonight at 6:30, the Bruins and Rangers collide with playoff positioning on the line. It's an original 6 showdown between the Bruins and Rangers tonight at 6:30 Eastern on the NBC Sports Network. Well, the vision of George Barber, Barber Motorsports Park, is not your standard motorsports venue. Aside from one of the world's top collections of vintage motorcycles and cars, the grounds at Barber are almost Augusta-like in appearance. As you travel through the grounds, you'll come across several large and unique sculptures. And this year there's a new one, Lady in the Lake, sitting just outside the fan village here. Although Mr. Barber says the lady is just visiting. And Graham Rahal has promised that if he wins, he'll celebrate by swimming out to the lady and giving her a kiss on the cheek. There's James Hinchcliffe, who has a good chance of winning today. He's going to start in his best position of second in an IndyCar race. Well, the course is certainly scenic throughout with many great vantage points for spectators. It's a fast 17 rolling turns, but originally designed as a motorcycle course, and it is difficult to pass. But that does not mean drivers won't try, and the driver in front will certainly try to prevent being passed. Blocking will be penalized, but defending is once again allowed. Drivers have mixed opinions on the elimination of the rule that left the inside lane open to promote passing.
Blocking. Blocking rule is always going to be talked about. You got to have competition, you got to have passing, you got to have excitement.
I don't believe in just letting somebody win the race. Defending, in my opinion, creates better passing. I want somebody to block me going into one, right? Because now I'm going to get them in three.
I understand why the no blocking rule was brought in originally to spice up the racings, but while it created more passing, I always felt that it actually created less racing. The art of the pass, you know, the racecraft, setting a guy up, he defends, you go outside, trying to outbreak him, trying to make him force a mistake. I just feel like that's been missing.
You're going to see some battles which are harder fought, and I think it's going to make racing very exciting. Passes aren't just going to be a given. It's going to be a bit more like soccer where, you know, you're going to have to work pretty hard to get that goal.
I disagree completely. I don't think there should be any.
As far as I'm concerned, there shouldn't be any blocking. The blocking is great on big European tracks that are hundreds of feet wide. We race on tight street circuits in the United States where there's not a lot of room to do all that.
We do so many street courses where you have one place to pass on the track.
Even if I'm a second faster than the guy in front of me, if he's blocking me, I won't be able to pass him. If blocking is not allowed, I'm going to have a run on the guy, I'm going to pass him, and then the lap later he may have a run on me and pass me back. So all of a sudden we go from 0 overtakings to 2. So I just think it's a much better show, it's more fair, and it's safer.
The only thing that I ask is make it clear so I understand.
When it's subjective on whether it's defending or blocking, I think it gets very complicated.
What's defending, what's blocking, what's dangerous, what's not?
They need to make it cut and dry. You block, you don't.
I don't know if you're ever going to find a happy medium, but I think, you know, first and foremost, we have to make sure that we put on a hell of a show for everyone.
All right, let's bring back our active driver, Townsend Bell. Townsend, what's your take on this?
Man, Kevin, this has been the silliest rule of the last few years, in my opinion. It's driven me crazy. Racing is about a battle. It's about a knife fight. I want to see guys go, you know, at it, hand-to-hand combat all the time. And I'm so glad that we're going back to the way it always was, the way it is internationally, which is that you're allowed to be proactive. You just can't be reactive. So if a guy's got to run on the straightaway and I know he's going to get a run and pop out, as long as I get over to the inside before he pops out, I'm good. So I'm really happy to see this rule change. Going to be interesting to see how many front wings are left on this deal at the end of the day.
I think we're going to like Townsend's candid nature throughout the season, and we're certainly going to see some action today. May be tough to pass, but there is still going to be action, and we may see a few parts flying as well. Well, with the Verizon phone, there are plenty of features that can help keep you close to the IZOD IndyCar Series. Call ** Indy for live in-car cameras, driver pit crew chatter, and more. Download IndyCar Mobile only from Verizon. All right, coming up in just a moment, one of our favorite parts of the program, the Grid Run with Robin Miller, coming up on IndyCar Central.
Evans is pulled to a stop, and he is climbing the fence in turn number 10.
A very touching, fitting way to end it.
It's a dream come true. I just have to thank our friend upstairs, Dan Weldon, man.
I ended up stopping on turn 10. Honestly, I did not plan. It was just the way it happens, and when I looked at the sign, it was Dan Weldon there. So for me, and for all of us, for all the drivers and the fans, well, we got to remember him as he lived, and obviously we got to continue to pray for his family.
Indeed, a fitting way to end last weekend's race at St. Petersburg, Dan Weldon's adopted U.S. home. Well, as the excitement grows here and we get ready for our first telecast of the year race-wise on the NBC Sports Network, we feel it is appropriate that we pause momentarily to remember our fallen hero, Dan Weldon. Dan was one of the great racing drivers of this generation. And as he proved on 3 different occasions last year, he was also a great driver analyst who was never lost for words. And although we appreciate that, he would make our weekly conference calls go on and on with suggestions on how to make our telecast better. He may have made us roll our eyes when he would get off onto another subject, but all of us wish that we could hear his voice just one more time and marvel at the skill and courage Dan Weldon consistently showed while pursuing his dream in a race car. And now, here is one of his suggestions that has become a regular part of our pre-race show, the Pit Walk with Robin Miller.
You know, Bobby, I really think Dan was as comfortable in front of the camera as he was in the cockpit at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. And what I liked about him was he really worked at it, and he kind of really got into it. And he had as much fun doing the TV stuff, and I kept saying, Weldon, you're a natural. When you're done racing, you're going to be a star on TV. And he says, don't retire me yet. I'm 5 years away from being retired, so I don't want to be retired yet. And we're going to miss him because he sure added a lot to this telecast. All right, here we go. In honor of Dan Weldon, come on, Jackson. We're going to run. We're starting in the back here. We're going to, I don't know, they look like they're all praying. What the hell? There's Dario. What are you doing? What are you doing back here? He didn't have a Lotus. Good God, he's praying. It's too late to pray. Takuma, what's your strategy, kid?
The strategy? You have to wait and see.
No, are you going to be real aggressive at the start and go to the inside?
If there is some chance, yes, take it.
Okay, kid. All right, Joseph.
Hey.
You're not driving like a rookie, son. You had a hell of a weekend at Homestead last week, or at St. Pete last week. Strategy for you guys? Off strategy or just go as fast as you can?
We're just going as fast as we can. I'm going to do as well as possible. So, got a good race car underneath me. I just got to do the job for the team.
Well, you're doing a hell of a job. All right, well, I guess the old grid walk was a little slower than I thought, so we're going to go to break here, come back and watch IndyCar on NBC Sports Network.
IndyCar Central on NBC Sports Network is presented by Verizon, official wireless partner of the Eyes on IndyCar series.
Beautiful day here in Barber Motorsports Park. We're just east of Birmingham, Alabama. We had heavy rain here yesterday and Friday, but today partly cloudy skies and near record heat. Let's go down for the anthem.
And now, race fans, presenting our nation's colors, the Alabama National Guard ROTC cadets from the University of Alabama at Birmingham. And now, race fans, we ask that you rise and remove your hats and join Skyville, Nashville recording artist Stealing Angels as they sing our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the
Now that should be enough to get chills up your spine as we get set here for the start of today's race. Command coming up in just a few moments. I'm Bob Jenkins with Jan Beekes and Wally Dallenbach, my booth mates. Well, last week, sort of a tight street course in St. Petersburg. A lot more room to race here. So what kind of a race do you expect today, Wally?
I think it's going to be a pretty good race for a couple of reasons. One is it is tough to pass here. You've got to take a lot more risks. We saw that last year in the IndyCar race between Ryan Hunter-Ray and Ryan Briscoe. They had a little argument over real estate. one guy wound up in the sand trap and was not very happy. But I think also what we're going to see today is there's a couple of guys that are qualified further back than we normally see. Franchitti and Will Power. Power's been the fastest guy all weekend. So it's going to be pretty fun to watch these guys. They're going to find places to pass on this hard racetrack.
Well, they're going to have to work hard because you heard in the pre-race show from the drivers and from Townsend Bell new rules in regards to blocking or defending. And again, to review, you can move off of the line proactively to close that door to keep people behind. Well, you have Dario, you have Will. They're in a hurry. They're going to get frustrated along with other drivers. So will it turn physical? I have a feeling.
You shall see. 26 cars and drivers are set to go, and we will have the command for you in just a moment. There's Helio Castroneves looking for 2 wins in a row to begin the 2012 IZOD IndyCar season. Justin Wilson also gets ready. Thanks for joining us for IndyCar Central, presented by Verizon on the NBC Sports Network. St. Petersburg, Florida saw the dawn of the 2012 IZOD IndyCar Series break first light. Anticipation was high to usher in the new era of engine suppliers and the arrival of the new chassis, the DW12. When the green flag fell, last year's rivals Will Power and Dario Franchitti struggled.
Obviously, track position not playing into the favor of our 4-time champ Dario Franchitti and our pole sitter Will Power.
But at the end, the checkered flag fell over a former winner, Helio Castroneves, who dominated the field and paid tribute to the memory of Dan Weldon.
Very fitting tribute to his friend Dan Weldon.
The new era continues today at Barber Motorsports Park for round 2 of the IZOD IndyCar Series. It's been a long winter, but the break is over, and NBC Sports Network begins its coverage of the IZOD IndyCar Series with the Honda Indy Grand Prix of Alabama from Barber Motorsports Park. Just a beautiful day here. Near record heat expected. The temperature right now is 81. I believe the record for this date here in the Birmingham area is 83, so we could get very, very close to that. In any case, it's a partly sunny day and a very, very light wind. There you see the drivers in their cars, 26 strong. They'll be going 90 laps here on this 2.3-mile course. Well, it's time. Let's go down for the command to start engines.
Alabama race fans, are you ready? It's time for those most famous words in motorsports. Here's former University of Alabama quarterback and NFL legend Bart Starr to give the command.
Thank you very much for those kind comments. We're honored to be here. I'm with my lovely wife, Cherry. We've been married 58 years. She doesn't even look to be 58 years old. When people tell me that, I say, well, I married her when she was 3. So we're honored to be here. This is a very, very special occasion for us. And we want to thank those who made it possible to invite us. Now, is it okay if I give them that word? At this time, ladies and gentlemen, please start your engines.
Engines begin to fire to life here. Drivers now with one thing on their mind, and that is getting out there and racing as hard as they can. Bart Starr, the Grand Marshal of the event here this afternoon, the winning quarterback for Super Bowls 1 and 2, of course, with the Green Bay Packers, and a native of this area. J.R. Hildebrand gets sets to go. He has his best start in the IZOD IndyCar Series on a road course. Done a great job yesterday in qualifying, and there is Helio Castroneves.
Here's some trivia. The last time a 6-cylinder won an IndyCar race, 1946. Helio won last weekend, St. Petersburg. 1946, George Robeson in the Indy 500. Also, the same year, Bob Jenkins graduated from high school.
Now,
so there's some trivia for everyone.
We do want to wish everybody a happy April Fool's Day, but I do want a commitment from you right now that there will be no pranks during the course of this talk.
I cannot do that.
He will not commit to that.
Okay, well, Honda's fastest seat in sports sweepstakes was very popular last year, and you can enter by logging on to shophonda.com. This week's lucky winner is Tom Ogata from San Francisco. By logging on to shophonda.com, Tom won the opportunity to start today's race in the IZOD two-seater that's being driven by Ari Lyondike. Tom, can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm here, Bob.
All right, well, what's it like being in the two-seater there with Ari?
This is great. We're scrubbing the tires right now. Sorry about that.
Ever think you would win when you entered?
No, not at all.
Well, you're from the San Francisco area. I imagine that you'll be with us as a spectator, hopefully for the Sonoma race this year, huh?
I will be there.
Okay, Tom, have a good ride.
Thanks, Bob.
What a thrill that must be to get to ride with Ari Lyondike just before the start of today's race. Okay, it is a 2.3-mile track nestled in the hills of this area east of Birmingham. Jan, take a look at the racetrack for us.
And Bob, of course, it looks fantastic from the outside, but the layout also has just this great flowing nature to it. High-speed turn number 1 and a second gear 2 and 3. Highlighted in red, turn number 5. If there's going to be passes today, aggressive passes, just keep turn 5 in mind. High speeds and high G's around the back of the racetrack, and big elevation change here, up over the top, and then 4 G's to the right. This is a place that really takes it out of the drivers.
That's a lap around this Barber Motorsports Park. Here is the starting lineup for today's race. On the pole, Elio Castroneves. On the outside of row number 1, his best start in his IZOD IndyCar career, James Hinchcliffe. In the second row, it's Scott Dixon on the inside and Mike Conway driving for A.J. Foyt this year. J.R. Hildebrand and Tony Kanaan have the 5th and 6th starting positions. Back in row 4, it's E.J. Viso and Graham Rahal. Back in the 9th starting position, that's where you will find Will Power along with Simon Pagenaud. Ryan Hunter-Reay and Ryan Briscoe are in the next row. Row 7, Marco Andretti and Rubens Barrichello. Joseph Newgarden and Takuma Sato are in the 8th row. And in the 9th row, guys, Sebastian Bourdais and Dario Franchitti.
Dario certainly having to make a run. You heard in the pre-race show, they are really searching for a setup.
A lot of championships on the road. Sebastian won 4 championships in Champ Car. All right, the rest of the lineup, Wilson and Jakes, Simona De Silvestro, and Charlie Kimball will start 21st and 22nd. Tagliani and Carpenter. And then we have Catherine Legg and Oriol Servia completing the 26-car starting field for today's race.
And Bob, you'll remember that last year and the previous year, it came down to pit strategy. And the key was, could you do it in 2 stops? This year, the way the pit windows work out, no. It's because they have smaller fuel cells. They don't make the same kind of mileage. So look at that, 1, 2, 3. You could stop as early as lap 9 if you're on this strategy.
Beginning to take its form as we go to Marty Snyder.
Tim Cindric hoping to lead Will Power to the victory. How do you win from 9th, Tim?
Well, you need things to go your way for sure. They didn't go our way yesterday, but starting here on blacks, hopefully we can get through the start here clean, and after that, just try and see where the yellows fall.
As Tim mentioned, Will Power will be the first car today to start on the black tires, the regular compound. Behind him, Ryan Hunter-Reay will also do the same. Everybody else around them starting on the reds.
Have some onboard cameras that will complement our coverage here today. Johnny Rutherford, as usual, behind the wheel of the Honda Pace car as we see the field begin to take form and get ready for the start of today's race. Again, 90 laps. And the start and the restarts this year are in the hands of the official starter up on the stand. That is Tom Hansing for today's race. He will look them over and decide whether or not they're in good formation. They look good as they come off turn number 17. And the green flag is out. The first race for the NBC Sports Network from Barber Motorsports Park underway.
Very nice start. That's how you do it.
Yeah. Simon Pagenaud to the inside of Will Power. They head down now to this hairpin, and this is where we're going to see a lot of the passing. Look at this, 3 wide.
Power up the inside, and he's on the black tires. You'll notice, you'll see the sidewalls. Pagenaud on the red. Wow.
And Alex Tagliani is in trouble. Tag's car has come to a halt.
Wally, what a move in turn 5.
Well, you knew it was coming. I mean, Power's got to make something happen, but I'm a little bit shocked too, John, because he's on the primaries. I mean, yes. I thought he would wait until, everybody, switched out on their tires.
Yeah. To review, the black sidewall or the primary doesn't have the same level of grip as the red. So if you chose to start the race on the black sidewalls, you pretty much would be thinking you're just hoping you stay in one spot, but he's moving forward on.
Although you're still, the sticker primaries are still pretty good. If you're going to do that, make your moves on the first couple laps when these things are clean.
Here's a replay of the passing that went on in turn 5.
And he got a lot of cooperation from Vizo on that. Vizo did a good job keeping that car in the center.
Vizo in the middle, Sitco colors.
Right. And looks like Ryan Hunter-Reay may have almost got a spot there. I'm not sure if he got past Ryan Briscoe or not there.
Here's the onboard from Pagenaud. That's Will Power to the left.
So Power's already on the left, and then Vizo could stay left if he wanted to, but he chose the middle of the racetrack. So what's he going to do? He's got people coming around both sides. You can only make one move. And wow, what a nice move by Pagenaud.
Yeah. Under full course caution for the stop car of Alex Tagliani. And so we are under caution, the reduced pace, as we are at Barber Motorsports Park in Alabama.
The Honda Indy Grand Prix of Alabama on NBC Sports Network is brought to you by Honda, an official vehicle of the IZOD IndyCar Series, and by IZOD. Go to IZOD.com to see the latest in IZOD color and performance.
Helio Castroneves is the early leader here at Alabama. Alex Tagliani, though, dealing with misfortune very early. They don't think it's an engine issue. The engine is still on, but he was stranded out on course. The throttle was not responsive. As you see there, he's getting a toe in. They've not packed it in yet. They're hoping to be able to find out what the issue is, maybe get him back out to score some points. Marty?
And Kevin, Will Power started on this primary black tire, started ninth. He's still in the ninth position, but you saw him fighting there with Simon Pagenaud, his former teammate back in the kart days. And And those two had a little incident last week when Simon Pagenaud got into Will Power. Will told me yesterday, I'm not going to give him many breaks today. It didn't look like he cut him many breaks there, did it, guys, as they split EJV so very early in the race. And I tell you what, you can hear these strategists already talking on the radio. Wally and Jan, they're counting these caution laps. They need 15 to suddenly turn this into a two-stop race. So all of a sudden, the two-stop race may be alive, guys.
Hey, guys, it's Townsend down here. You know, the Lotus teams have been struggling a lot with the electronic management of the system. They're using a fuel cut strategy for their rev limiter right now, which is less than ideal. Bourdais had the same issue in morning warm-up this morning. It's basically a safety protection system for the motor. They have such little supply in terms of spares, they don't want to hurt the motor. When they have an issue, or when the engine sees the data, says we might have an issue, it just shuts off. It flat shuts off like he reached up and hit the ignition switch.
Yes, and they were talking, Townsend. The team said for Sebastian Bourdais, it was the same situation they had after such a great run in St. Petersburg. A fly-by-wire throttle, again, meaning your throttle pedal is not physically connected to the engine. It goes through a computer.
It's interesting, though. It happened both on Bourdais this morning in the warm-up and Tagmatic right off the bat.
Yeah.
It was within, neither one of these guys even made a lap, and something set the sensors off.
Onboard cameras today from Charlie Kimball. He has the Novolog FlexPen onboard camera. Started in 22nd position, has moved up one spot. Here's the HP onboard camera being taken by Simon Pagenaud, and he is up to 8th position. J.R. Hildebrand has the National Guard onboard camera. He began from 5th position and is back to 7th at the moment. Here is James Hinchcliffe with the Verizon onboard camera. James, as we indicated, had a great qualifying effort yesterday, starting in 2nd position. And here's the guy who is right ahead of James Hinchcliffe, the pole sitter and the current leader of the race, Helio Castroneves.
Now, you may have seen Pagenaud go to the steering wheel and make adjustments. Back this year with engine competition, you have fuel trim. So they make adjustments on the steering wheel to lean it out under caution, and you can see they're all making changes, and that ran some of the Chevy people into trouble because of revs and charging. That was what led to some of those battery issues in the first race.
It's 2 abreast restarts, and here they are lined up nicely once again. Closely, as a matter of fact, as Pagenaud and J.R. Hildebrand are wheel to wheel, and here they are off of turn number 17, and the green flag waves once again for the first restart of the day.
Whoa! Look out!
That was close.
Scott Dixon.
Wow.
And
that Conway had to go to the dirt, but looks like he's held on to his position there, but wow.
E.J. Viso lost a couple of spots.
There was some rubbing there. Here comes Pagenaud up the inside again.
Everybody through cleanly. A few cars with their right side tires off the pavement. This is Pagenaud. He had a great race last weekend at St. Petersburg, was penalized starting positions for changing an engine, but he performed very well during the race, and he is here today. That's Mike Conway in the ABC Supply Company special up ahead of him. Pagenaud is currently 8th. This is Sam Schmidt, A.B. Hamilton team for this year that Simon Pagenaud is racing for. Up ahead of Mike Conway is J.R. Hildebrand, 6th, 7th, and 8th here. All right, let's take a look at the restart that we had just a few moments ago.
And it was just a fantastic formation as they're coming up. But when they take the green flag, everybody has to slide into position. In particular, we'll watch Dixon. So let's freeze it here. And this is where you want to keep an eye. That is on the outside. That's the GoDaddy car. It's going to move across on what's happening with Dixon. And look at this. Whoa!
Oh, I think they touched.
Yeah, big loose moment for Dixon. Wow. And then everyone behind Wally is just scrambling.
Well, and Dixon slid way up the racetrack. He had Conway to the right of him. So Conway had to take to the dirt and the grass to avoid contact. And actually, Conway did some heads-up driving there, or there would have been a big wreck.
There's Graham Rahal, one of the top movers up front so far, started 8th, running in 4th position. He is one of those like Will Power that got caught out with the red flag in the second qualifying session. He thought they had more speed yesterday. He said the car wasn't great on Friday, but it's been getting better throughout the weekend, and he felt pretty good going into the race today.
Graham Rahal has moved up more positions than anyone else here in the first few laps of this race. He has gained 4 positions. Oriol Servia, who started in the back, gained 3. Sato is up 2. James Jakes up 2. And Pagano also has gained 2 positions. That's Tony Kanaan running right behind Graham Rahal in the 2-color green car, and then J.R. Hildebrand behind Tony Kanaan.
Guys, so J.R. Hildebrand this morning, I went into the medical center myself to get a driver's license. Hopefully I'm going to do the Indy 500 today. And there was J.R. Hildebrand standing there with a pinched nerve in his neck. The nurse had a syringe about 4 inches long, and I tried not to look. So he's got some kind of issue with his neck. I think it has to do with the fact that this is the first really high G-force track. And you can see here he's got a little patch or something, Band-Aid over where he got the shot. So at any rate, it's going to be a heck of a time for him with the sore neck. But so far it doesn't seem to be slowing him down at all.
Saw just a great onboard camera shot. The camera is actually in the mirror of the car looking over toward the driver.
Fantastic qualifying for J.R. Hildebrand. I spent a bunch of time with the team that night, and they are so pro J.R. I mean, every team is behind their driver, but they really, really believe in this kid, and they do anything they can. They're so proud of what he could do in qualifying.
Hildebrand riding right behind Tony Kanaan. Again, they are 6th and 7th. While we watch this and Helio Castro continues to lead the race, he has only led a total of 34 laps all last season. He has now led a total of 35 in the first 2 races this year.
That's a turn of events, huh?
That's a turnaround, I would say. Tony Kanaan showing the Geico colors.
And that's the section I talked about right there. When you get down into this compression, over 4 G's of side load, you're turning, Wally, and trying to brake at the same time.
Tony's car looks awfully good right now. He's flicking off some pretty fast lap times.
Long procession of cars behind him. Here's another group as Dario Franchitti has
made up a whole lot of ground.
He has not. He's moved up 1 spot.
Wow. 4-time champs kind of hanging out together there.
But those guys, you know, they really struggled all weekend on the balance. I kind of expected Power to really make some big moves here. But I wasn't sure about Franchitti because they keep throwing stuff in the car to try to find that comfort level. He is not comfortable in these cars.
Oh, Bourdais to the inside of Barrichello.
Nice move.
And he comes back. Nice. That's the over-under. And Marco Andretti, if you watch the pre-race show, he was saying that's what we want. We don't want passes that are given to you. You want to earn them.
Now we got a right-hander coming up.
Yeah, that's got to be Bourdais. That's a tough place to stay on the outside in that corner.
Rubens Barrichello driving the car with 2 tones of blue and is, of course, a veteran of 19 years on the Formula One circuit. BMC on the side pods of that car. And Helio is trying to find a way around him. That's 16th and 17th. Will Power is running in 9th. The leader of the race is Helio Castroneves. And he has led the first 10 laps of this 90-lap event, the Honda Indy Grand Prix of Alabama. Izod IndyCar Series continues on NBC Sports Network from the streets of Long Beach. Join us in 2 weeks, Sunday, April 15th, 3:30 Eastern for the Toyota Grand Prix of Long Beach. Coverage will begin with IndyCar 36 featuring Graham Rahal. That's at 3 o'clock Eastern Time. Kevin?
Well, Bob, unfortunately, Alex Tagliani's day came to an end almost at the drop of a green flag. What happened?
We were just starting our race, and we made a position, and the engine, I think the engine blew up. So it's a shame for the Barracuda Networks, the Bowers and Wilkins car. Very disappointing for the crew. I think, you know, what's sad is that we didn't even have the chance to try to set our red tires this weekend, and we saved them all for the race. We thought we made some pretty big improvements onto the car setup, and the reds are worth so much that our whole strategy was to run reds all race and run as fast as we could. I think our car was decent, but we're having a lot of problems so far with the engine.
All right, thank you, Alex. And it has been an uphill battle for the Lotus cars trying to catch up with the Chevys and the Hondas.
Tagliani finished 15th last weekend at St. Petersburg and finished 15th last year here at Barber. Elio maintaining his advantage on James Hinchcliffe, just a little bit less than a second. Scott Dixon closely behind, then Graham Rahal, Tony Kanaan, J.R. Hildebrand, Mike Conway, Simon Pagenaud. Here's Power, Viso, Ryan Briscoe, and Takuma Sato. Sato runs in the 12th position. Driving for Rahal Letterman Lanigan Racing this year.
Whoa, a little loose in there.
A couple of laps ago in that same spot of the racetrack, here's what happened.
You see Sato go to the inside, and Marco does the crossover. They just make a little bit of contact there, and Marco couldn't finish the deal. But that's great to see. We didn't see a lot of that last year. You know, you couldn't do the crossover. So that's hopefully that'll keep on happening there, Kevin.
And Marco lost some spots on the racetrack, and Takuma has been told that he's the fastest on the racetrack right now. They've been pretty optimistic coming into this weekend. I know we hear a lot of drivers told they are the fastest on the racetrack, but he has been quick, and the engineering staff of Jerry Hughes and Jay O'Connell think they are figuring out this brand new car.
Yeah, I just checked. He's not the fastest, but he's pretty good. He's doing well. I mean, that, like you said, Kevin, is very common. Your team, you're the fastest out there. All right, you got it.
Well, Sato has equaled Graham Rahal as the biggest mover so far. Both have gained 4 positions. Sato had a great race last weekend at St. Petersburg until mechanical problems sidelined him, but he was looking good for a while.
Oh, another move to the inside. Pagenaud and Conway.
Pagenaud's been setting him up or trying to set him up for a long time.
Pagenaud moves up another position to 7th now.
Well, I'll have to say, I thought that if you could defend, that they may have been able to close the door to the point to where we lose passing in turn 5. And now this is perfect. Let's watch the setup, Wally.
Got a good run here. Goes to the left, and you know what? The Conway gave it to him. He didn't give it to him, but you know he left plenty of room there. It's early in the race, and Pagenaud has been dogging him for the last 4 or 5 laps.
Picture perfect. And again, Mike Conway could have proactively, he couldn't have waited. Here's the thing, if he would have waited for Pagenaud to move, then you can't do it in response. I think Townsend said that really well in the pre-race. You can do it ahead of time, but you can't move in response. You'd still get a penalty.
But the problem is, with that corner, if you go down on the inside, you're going to get the crossover done to you, and they're going to complete it because you're totally in the wrong place to make that corner properly if you start on the inside.
Now Pagenaud sets his sights on J.R. Hildebrand in the National Guard car.
Wow, go Simon.
Look at him close in.
Nice.
Bit of a straightaway here before the right-hander. And Oriol Servia makes a pit stop.
And that would be anyone who stops now is just
a clear track coming out.
In their window now.
Taking the early part of the 3-stop window. So that would be to plan if you're somebody who doesn't mind giving up track position, and while he's out there circulating, if there happened to be a full course caution, that's what they'd be hoping for.
Servia racing for Dreyer and Reinbold Racing this year. So Simon Pagenaud has moved up to 7th position. Ahead of him, J.R. Hildebrand, Tony Kanaan, Graham Rahal, Scott Dixon, James Hinchcliffe, and the leader of the race at this point, with 15 of 90 laps completed, Helio Castroneves.
Hey, while you guys were away, Marco Andretti, Justin Wilson made quick pit stops, so they're early stoppers. But I'm in Dario Franchitti's pit, and I think everybody says, how can a guy that's won this championship 4 times and be so dominant, be so, well, he's coming in the pits right now, but how can this guy be so dominant and be so lost right here? Well, when they had the test, he crashed in the test. He didn't like the way the car was. And then, the most...
Franchitti comes in. He started way back in. He started on the primary black tire, so he's going to the softer compound now. See if he can make up a little bit of time. Franchitti trying to pick his way through traffic, and a lot of it's going to come down to what kind of clean traffic he gets. Does he get lucky and gets a little bit of space to work on some good lap times right now, pitting off strategy?
And Kevin, you can see some other people.
Still clear, still clear.
You can see some other people set up, Ryan Hunter-Reay and Wally. That's what you expected. Anyone who started on primaries, take the early part of the window and get rid of those. Those tires, not as fast.
Exactly. And that's going to be, they want to get off those tires as fast as they can right now. So, they're in the window. Now's the time.
And we're saying everyone has to use those tires at some point in the race. So get it done early. That's Dario's strategy.
Right.
Dario with some catching up to do, and here is Simon Pagenaud once again, still running in 7th position, just behind J.R. Hildebrand. But earlier, while we were in break, a moment for Simon as he got the car off course.
Hey, watch, he goes into here, right down Hildebrand, just locks the tire up a little bit, which prevents him to turn. But I don't think he lost a foot. I don't think he lost anything on it. Hopefully he didn't damage the bottom. Marty.
Ryan Hunter-Reay hitting pit road. Wally, one of these guys coming in early. He also on the sticker blacks. He said the car had tons of understeer. In fact, he radioed in, said, guys, we're going backwards. We need to do something. They put on scuff reds, trying to pick up a little bit of speed.
And you can see ahead that Marco Andretti, who has made his stop, he's in the RC Cola colors on the outside, weaving through traffic, trying to make hay with those red sidewalls.
That's Catherine Legg in the 6 car. The rookies in the series this year. Ed Carpenter is there in the fuzzy sponsor car that's green and gold. And then Ryan Hunter-Reay. Carpenter running 19th, Legg 18th. And we are on board with J.R. Hildebrand as he makes a pit stop. Townsend.
Guys, he's coming right for me here. He's got blacks to go on. Reds are coming off. Car's up. Everything's looking pretty good. They did drop his rear tire pressures a little bit. Big thing in this race is going to be managing tire wear. It seems like the rear balance is going off, and he is away. Clean stop.
Ryan Briscoe started on sticker reds. He'll put on scuffed black tires this time. He had a vibration in his brake pedal and a lot of understeer, he said, and a little bit of trouble leaving the pit. That's going to be a close race off pit road, guys.
Hildebrand's going to get there first. Ryan Briscoe showing Hitachi colors this weekend, and it's 7 other races this year on the 2012 IZOD IndyCar schedule.
Oh, Marco.
This time it's Takuma Sato with whom he battles.
Which he had a little bit of problem down here in this corner the last time.
They touched right here last time, and nice job. Sato gives him a little more room, but it's not over.
Well, maybe not enough, because Sato's got the line going into this corner.
Yep.
Ooh, dropped off.
Nice. I think Sato decided, you know, I think I should breathe it here. This could get ugly.
He's going to get past eventually.
Down to Kevin as Conway makes his stop.
Here he comes in. It's only 50 miles an hour this week. It's a very narrow pit road. He has to go around. Tires in front of him with E.J. Viso coming in right behind him. Mike Conway started in the 4th position. He fell back to 8th. He's worked his way back up a spot. E.J. Viso started up front, and he has in the 7th position. He's dropped back to 10th. Pretty good stop for both. They go out the same way they came in, with Conway in front.
Probably a good thing these pit stops are under the greens, because that pit lane is one of the most narrow I've ever seen. If all these guys came in at once under a caution, there could be a lot of trouble down there.
It is worth saying that in the future, We don't know when, but Bo Barfield, the new race director, is considering not closing the pits under caution for that very reason, so that not everyone's pitting as a group, and you can see how much safer it is the way it is under green.
And now Andretti and Viso are battling.
No! He's getting a lot of use out of that right front wing.
I like it. I like it a lot.
Again, Viso's going to have the advantage, though, here, going into the right-hander.
Viso's not going to give it. No way. No way.
Well, I like you can lean on each other with these new cars, though.
Good, but be smart about it. We got a lot of racing to go.
Good thinking.
Oh, not there, not there.
This is for 15th position, by the way, as Will Power comes in for a stop. Marty.
Right side of your screen, Bob. That's some exciting racing on the left side, though. Will Power, though, will put on sticker red tires. They'll be on reds for the rest of the day for Will Power. They use their blacks. They're done with that. He said the car just went away. Those tires went away so much at the end of that run. It had way too much understeer. They're hoping the reds can fix that.
Tell you, man, Marco's using that nose and that front wing.
He is.
Look at turn one.
Nice.
Wow. You don't see people try moves in turn one, but that's what happens when you have this sequence. Some people on the red side walls, Ryan Hunter-Reay, Takuma Sato on the black. And you just heard those blacks go off quickly.
Here's Ryan Hunter-Reay
again.
Yeah, you're kind of a sitting duck right now if you're fighting these guys when they're on the reds.
Dario Franchitti's lurking behind. He may try to get Sato. Now he comes.
Now Franchitti will take a look to the outside, which becomes the inside as they go to this right-hander. '16th, 17th, 18th, and 19th here. Viso is 15th.
This corner coming up here where Marco took a look last time, you approach at 165 miles an hour, 4Gs, and he poked his nose on the inside of Viso. I'm like, whoa,
Marco's out. Getting through here pretty good, so probably set him up again going into turn one.
Kevin.
Rubens Barrichello was in for his first stop. They were making an air pressure adjustment, and also they're adjusting the front wing. As you can see there, he feels a lot more comfortable this week than he did last week, in part because they actually tested air, so he didn't have to spend the whole first day or two learning the track.
Man, look at this racing on the track. This is good stuff.
Ryan Hunter-Reay now up to his teammate. Viso's doing a good job right now. I mean, I'll guarantee you Marco's not real happy with him, but Viso's doing a good job with what he's got.
He's doing what he's allowed to. Oh, but he left. I'm surprised. He didn't defend. Marco's going to get him easily now.
And maybe Ryan Hunter-Reay?
No, don't think he's got enough run on him there. Yeah. I know what
like
you're saying.
Said, but he knew he was going to get. You know what?
You're either going to get it going into the corner or coming out.
And you're going to, if you fight to the death, even E.J. Viso knows that at the end of the day, you end up with barriers.
Sebastian Bourdais moves up to 7th position thanks to pit stops, but he's in now, Townsend.
Guys, Bourdais in. Everything's looking good. The reds come off. The blacks are going on. Let's see how this Lotus launches here. It's been a big problem, and he's off and away with no issues. Good run for Sebastian.
Now, that car, to me, that gets the vote as the nicest looking car out here. I love the way Sebastian Bourdais' car looks.
Hunter-Reay got by Viso. Now, Viso's starting to back up a little bit.
Yeah,
he's going to be looking for those reds, I believe.
Sato's breathing down his neck now, and Franchitti is right behind Sato.
Oh,
here's Elio.
Here's a guy who's leading.
It's a 1.8-second lead for Elio over James Hinchcliffe. Scott Dixon is 2.7 seconds behind. On board with Hinchcliffe.
Now, when you have track position like Elio, like James Hinchcliffe, you...
that the blacks have a lot of understeer, so you give you a turn.
All right, so what he's asking for is that when he makes the pit stop and you put the blacks on, I want more front wing. So they're trying to change that balance. Kevin?
Comes Tony Kanaan, and he's been a little bit loose in the early going, so let's see what kind of changes they make. They're going to the harder primary compound for Tony Kanaan. They're taking off the reds that they started the race. Kanaan started in 6th position. He's worked up a spot to 5th, and he is away. Marty?
And Kevin, for the leaders for Elio Castroneves and James Hinchcliffe, Hinchcliffe noted about 15 laps ago that Elio had started backing off a lot earlier, so they may wait a while here before they come in. Maybe lap 27. That was kind of the max as far as everyone thought they could go. Maybe lap 27 before we see these guys come to pit road. They've been in fuel-saving mode for quite a while.
Pit time.
Did Kevin say they made an adjustment on Kanaan's car?
think it may, yes, he did, but it could have been an air pressure.
I'm just surprised if the car was loose and you're putting blacks on, it's automatically going to tighten up the car. Why you would make an adjustment.
And Elio is on pit lane, Marty.
And they did not want to wait too long. And what you heard was the message from John Erickson to Helio Castroneves that Ryan Briscoe, his teammate who had the blacks on, there was a lot of understeer in the car. So they're going to put a turn of wing in to try and compensate for that understeer that they do expect. This will be scuffed black sets of tires. Simon Pagenaud behind him having a terrific run. You see him right behind Helio Castroneves coming down pit road. In fact, at one point, Simon Pagenaud told his guys like a play-by-play, hey, I just passed Conway. They said, yeah, we saw it on TV. He said, the car is awesome, very good. And he said, I'm not even having to run it at 100%, but they too will go to black, sticker black, and they stall it on pit road.
No.
He has to get a push. That will cost him a ton of time.
Well, it wasn't a full stall. Thankfully, they didn't have to go to the starter motor. But, yes, valuable seconds lost. All those positions he worked for just streamed by.
Yep.
And part of it is it's new electronics, and you have a hand clutch. In this particular case, he didn't have to pull out with other cars. That's the big challenge for everyone. When you have to really crank the wheel over, you've got your hand on the paddles, and it's tough to get out.
Well, James Hinchcliffe led a lap, but now he comes in, and Scott Dixon is right behind him as they go to pit lane.
Give you 4 tires and a turn front one.
Down to Marty.
And Hinchcliffe coming down pit road. As we said, the leaders would be coming in about lap 26, stretching it as long as they can. They wanted to keep those reds on for as long as they could. As you see, sticker blacks going on for James Hinchcliffe, having trouble getting the left rear tire on. They also put a turn in. Hinch leaves pit road, but he'll lose that track position because they had trouble getting that left rear on to Dixon. Let's see where he cycles out with Helio Castroneves.
And here comes Helio.
Dixon's going to be in front of him. I don't know how good his tires are going to be, but...
Nice, and that's always the advantage. If you can go one more lap faster, light on fuel, warm tires, you can grab that track position.
Graham Rahal is the leader of the race because he hasn't made a pit stop. There is James Jakes on pit lane.
James Jakes, yep. He's coming in, guys. Fuel's going in. Everything looks smooth. The red tires are on. He's got new reds. He's off and away. Everything looked good.
Well, Dixon.
Nice job.
Boys did a good job in pit lane
position.
and picked up,
That's what she needs. Now, mind you, every lap that Graham Rahal does, he's in what they call the danger zone. He's leading now, and if there was a full course caution, and of course, he's very good. You want to do a lap or two extra. Don't stay out too long. Let's see, because this is obviously another Ganassi team. Let's see if they can do the same kind of service they did for Dixon.
And with this, Dixon now goes to the lead.
Let's watch for Scott.
Here comes Dixon.
And he's probably going to lose 3 spots. Well, he won't lose 3, but he'll cycle back. 4th, most likely.
Fuel capacity this year is 18.5 gallons.
Correct. But it takes, because they're new fuel cells, they still take about the same time to fill as the 22 gallons from last year.
So Dixon comes out with about a 0.9 of a second lead on Helio Castroneves. And watch Scott Dixon's team at the top of your screen, the red car, just a flawless pit stop. And that's how you make up positions.
And of course, we saw that they had a little trouble for Hinchcliffe, but here is the money payday right there. That they picked up because of a mistake from another team, but what they picked up on the racetrack was just pure quick stop. And
good
again,
strategy.
if you stay out later, you get track position, and boom, boom, you get your track position.
On lap number 28 of 90 at Barber Motorsports Park. The top 5, Scott Dixon, Helio Castroneves, James Hinchcliffe, Graham Rahal, and Tony Kanaan. Welcome back to NBC Sports Network coverage of the Honda Indy Grand Prix of Alabama at Barber Motorsports Park. We're a third of the way through this first telecast of the year for us. The leader is Scott Dixon by 1.2 seconds over Elio Castroneves. This battle we're looking here is for the 14th and 15th positions. E.J. Viso, Takuma Sato, and then Dario Franchitti in 16th. There's Tony Kanaan and Will Power as they're running 5th and 6th.
Now, we talk about in-laps and out-laps and how you gain positions, but check out in particular the out-lap you saw for Dixon. He bested everyone on the way out, and he needed to keep that position for Castroneves. Very nice job right there. That's the money payday right there, along with a quick pit stop and choosing when to do it. And that's where the drivers really earn their money, the way in, way out.
Will Power tries to go to the inside and pass Kanaan.
Oh, but he's going wide. I don't think that's going to work. Whoa!
And guys, this feud's been going on for a little while. Will just radioed to Tim Cindric. I want them to know that Tony Kanaan is blocking me, and Tim confirmed back to him, 11 blocking. They did tell an official, but Will finally got around him, as you see.
Yeah. Well, you got to try.
Another thing driver says a lot.
Yeah. Along with you're the fastest on the racetrack, that guy's blocking me.
On purpose.
Anyway, he got by. It's all good.
And he's now in the top 5. There's our leader, Scott Dixon. All right, here's a Honda through the field, Marty. Kevin.
Scott Dixon started in the 3rd position. He's worked his way up to 1st with a strong pit stop and quick lap times throughout the day. He was just told by Mike Hall, really concentrate this segment. The center part of the race is what's going to count. Marty?
Elio Castroneves behind him has not said a word on the radio all day long, Kevin. He wanted to know how the blacks would affect the car. They told him how the blacks would affect the car. They did put that wing in, trying to make it a little bit better, but he's making it look easy. He's hung in there, obviously led for the first part of that first run. Way back there, so where there's James Hinchcliffe in that green GoDaddy car. He said, man, Ryan wasn't kidding, talking about his teammate Ryan Hunter-Reay. He said, I needed more than one turn of wing. These blacks have made the car completely understeer. You can see him trying to get it to the bottom of the track right there, Kevin.
Graham Rahal led right before he came in. He was the last to stop, so we know he's getting good mileage so far. He started in 8th. Remember, he has promised if he wins, he's going to swim out in that lake and kiss the lady in the lake, the big sculpture out there off of the backstretch, Marty.
A moment ago, we saw Will Power get around Tony Kanaan. Tim Cindric told him on the radio, he said, listen, we are all go now. Attack. Do not worry about saving fuel. And you can tell Will really hustling in that car. Look how much gap he's already put between he and Tony Kanaan, Kevin.
Tony Kanaan is working with his very familiar engineer, Eric Cowden, again this year. They started in Indy Lights together back in '96, spent most of their IndyCar career together before Cowden moved over to Team Penske back, and he said it was like riding an old bicycle from when you were a kid. Right behind him, we go back and we see the ABC A.J. Foyt car, and that is from Mike Conway. Conway's had a good run. They've been dealing with a condition here recently, understeer, massive understeer, but he's still hanging in right now, Marty.
Kevin, as you see, Simon Pagenaud in 8th place, right behind Mike Conway, having a terrific run today. He told me this week I'm going to test at Texas Motor Speedway. He's never been on an oval in his life. He's not sure what to expect. He said, I know it'll be fun. I just don't know how I really want to drive the car. He's done a lot of simulation, though, Townsend, getting ready for this test.
Yeah, Marty, I'm with J.R. Hildebrand. We're tracking him here. Talk about soldiering on. This guy in the National Guard car took, a big hit of a syringe in the neck this morning. He's hanging in there. His car's a little bit loose. They made the adjustment. Things are looking good okay right now. It's their best run to date. Marty?
Back there, Ryan Briscoe, you see him in the number 2 Penske colors, and he said the vibration in the brake pedal has not gone away, but it's not really gotten much worse for him. They do have blacks on the car right now. Again, he started on those sticker reds. When they come back in next time, they have another set of sticker reds. Remember, they missed qualifying, and that helped them because they were able to save that second set of sticker reds. Townsend?
Next up, we're looking at Sebastian Bourdais running 11th. Guys, he had a great run going at St. Pete until that motor shut off on him. I can tell Jay Penske's just biting every nail he's got, hoping this thing hangs on and they can get a top 10 finish today. Kevin, go.
Marco Andretti has moved up a position. He's actually lost some positions from his best. He's been tangling out on the racetrack with some excellent action throughout the day. He says they went a little bit too conservative. Michael Andretti said the same thing, but they felt like they were going to have a pretty good race car, Marty.
Ryan Hunter-Reay trying to catch his teammate in 13th right now. Remember, they're all sequenced from everybody else, so they're only about 15 laps from having to stop again here in a few moments. Again, they're on the Reds right now, hoping to put Reds back on the car. Still understeer there for Ryan Hunter-Reay, having to fight it off of every corner.
We saw E.J. Viso, and we'll wait to find him as he comes into our screen. We saw him tangling a little while earlier. He's been coached by Jimmy Vasser to be a little bit more conservative this year, and E.J. says he really likes this relationship. One, it's the boss showing interest in me. Two, he says it's the first time I've really had a former driver and a mentor on the stand. And Dario Franchitti is making his way through the field right now, starting in 18th position. He's worked up a little bit. He got by Takuma Sato there at that point. It's going to be a long way, though, for Franchitti to get up to where he is comfortable. Townsend?
All right, guys, next up in line is Oriol Servia in that black and gold Dreyer Reinbold Lotus. They've had all kinds of issues leaving the pits, but so far they've been one of the biggest movers. He's up to 17th. Behind him, Charlie Kimball. You know, fairly quiet run so far. Charlie hasn't really shown much right now, but a good solid run going for him.
Those are the top 18. Rubens Barrichello runs 19th, and Justin Wilson, Joseph Newgarden, Simone De Silvestro, James Jakes, then Ed Carpenter, Catherine Legge, and Alex Tagliani, the only car out of the race at this point. 35 laps of 90 completed. And there is Scott Dixon, but we have been clocking Will Power, and he has the fastest car on the racetrack. Will he be able to close in and make it a race? Elio is running second, then Hinchcliffe, Rahal, and Power are your top 5. Stay with us as the NBC Sports Network continues its coverage of the Honda Indy Grand Prix of Alabama. Wednesday night, Bob Costas tackles the state of college sports in America. It's the next live town hall edition of Costas Tonight, Wednesday 10 Eastern on the NBC Sports Network. Scott Dixon, Elio Castroneves, James Hinchcliffe, Graham Rahal, and Will Power are your top 5. And there is Will as he comes up to challenge Graham.
And Wally, you talked about somebody being a sitting duck when one is on reds and one is on the primary blacks. And In that particular case, that would be Graham Rahal with a charging Power behind.
Yeah, not a whole lot you can do. Although I've seen some guys do a really good job holding these guys off for a little while, but eventually you're going to get passed by somebody that's on the reds if you have the blacks on. But you just, I mean, everybody's playing the game right now. You've got to run the blacks and just try to do the best you can and maintain as much as you can and then get back on the reds and go racing again.
And that is exactly what Will Power did. He obviously made some moves off the start of the race, but the idea is maintain your position on the blacks if you can. That's what Graham Rahal's job is now. Just try and not lose a spot. Right. Then you'll get your turn. Yeah. You know, but Power has the opportunity because he started early to finish out the whole race on his faster alternate reds.
But Power is also, I mean, he's 11 seconds back on the leader. He's not really making that much time up on the leader. He's making some time up on these few cars ahead of him. But that's a long way to make up.
39 out of 90 laps. We're closing in on the halfway mark. What's happened in the first almost half, Jan?
Well, a lot of people have been moving up. And I'll have to say that it has been some great action. Of course, we just mentioned Will Power and his move on the black sidewalls at the start, splitting. Sebastian Bourdais going to the inside of Barrichello. Then we had the old over-under. That was nice. 3 wide in turn 2. A little bit of rubbing, but they all got through. Amazing action, most of which, of course, was down here in turn number 5. Well, Wally, that's your favorite move. That's that little wing rub that we saw by Marco Andretti more than once. And to the inside of the ABC supply car. Ooh, there's a late braking move, but when it happens, it's hard to get it turned, and Kanaan did challenge back.
Ryan Briscoe has just made his second pit stop and goes back out onto the racetrack. We've had 1 caution for 3 laps. Scott Dixon has led 12 of the 38 laps, and we have 23 on the lead lap at this point.
So what you're seeing now, Bob, is you're seeing those who ran the black tires in segment 2. They want to get them off early. So they don't want to stay out there. They want to come and get those off. But those who are out there on reds will probably make this middle stint longer. So we'll see kind of a flip-flop going on. Here we go. Oh, yeah.
Nice pack of cars here.
Yeah, Viso's been making some nice entertainment. Sato hits the pits. Good time to hit the pits when you see a big train ahead of you. I think I'll pit.
Barrichello and Newgarden was there also, as we now focus in on Graham Rahal, or rather James Jakes, as he tries to go to the inside of Charlie Kimball.
See what I was talking about that brake? Kimball's having some problems here with his brakes.
Sato gets the pit work completed. He goes back onto the track. Little problem on the right rear.
Okay. Viso stays low. And Rubens was lurking here. These two are still side by side. Jakes, woo! And now he can't stop. He's going to go across the dirt. Come on!
Oh, he's going to get the gravel. Keep it running. Keep it running. And he will. That's Charlie Kimball back on track.
Well, you could see that coming. Especially when you're having brake problems.
Yeah, I don't know if it's out of balance, but he's got way too much front brake in that car, whether it's out of balance or what. But you'll watch here, and when the front tires lock up, you can't turn the car anymore. And that's exactly what happened to Charlie going down in this corner. Jakes on the outside. Keep an eye on the front of Charlie Kimball's car when he hits the brakes.
Now I got no front downforce.
See the right front?
Yep.
When the right front locks, you can't turn it. I think he brought some rocks with him.
Yeah, I have a feeling.
He's bringing the pit lane right now.
Watch him fall out of the wheels when they pull him off.
That's Simona De Silvestro that was on pit lane. This is E.J. Viso getting his work completed and going back onto the track. And Kimball's service is done. Will Power also in.
I would have thought that he would have tried to extend that stint. Oh, but he has to, just because Virtue, he stopped at the very early part of that first window, remember? So now he just has to by fuel. Marty?
Will Power coming in and he's going to put on a red set of scuffed tires. He's the ones he qualified on. They only have 4 laps on them for Will Power. He said he thought he felt a vibration under that last set of tires. A little bit of a stall leaving pit road. Shouldn't cost him too much time, though.
Sebastian Bourdais also gets some service here at lap number 42 in the Lotus. Ryan Hunter-Reay enters pit lane. And so does Marco Andretti. Kevin.
He's got a little bit of front wing damage. I'm going to guess from that tangle with EJ Viso. They were going to take an eyeball look at it, and you see him pounded on it right now. They're hoping not to change it, and they're not going to. It'll take about 30 seconds to change that front wing. So Marco had worked his way up to 11, still in the mix.
There's a problem at the back.
Ryan Hunter-Reay sitting on pit road, Kevin. They had a problem yesterday with the left rear lug. They couldn't get it tight in practice. Actually, this morning it fell off after he went out in warm-up. They couldn't get it on there either. That was a long stop for Ryan Hunter-Reay, who finally got the red stickers on his car for the first time today.
That was the second mistake by Andretti Racing, because the same thing happened to Hinchcliffe earlier.
And speaking of Hinchcliffe, there he is. Hinchcliffe shown in 3rd position. Here's Mike Conway.
Second stop for Mike. He's been stout throughout the day, or at least very much in the mix. Conway is also going to make a front wing adjustment. They're trying to hustle through this a little bit extra time than they wanted. Townsend?
Yeah, JR pitting from P9. This great run continues. Blacks come off and scrub blacks go on. He's off and away. Everything looking good.
They certainly have showed here this weekend that they're picking up their road and street course program. Of course, we know how good he is on an oval, especially the Indianapolis oval. And it'll be interesting to see how he performs this year after nearly winning the 500 in his first race and looking good here this weekend. There is Scott Dixon. This is only the second time in his career that Scott Dixon has led laps in the first 2 races of the season. The other times he led the first 2 races, in 2003, he went on to win his first championship. Dixon enjoys a 7.5-second lead over Elio Castroneves here at Barber Motorsports Park. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Scott Dixon continues the lead. The Eyes on IndyCar Series race here at Barber today, and we are at the halfway point. While we were in break, you saw on nonstop, Tony Kanaan, Dario Franchitti, Rubens Barrichello all made pit stops, and so did James Hinchcliffe, and they had problems on the right rear of that car. And here's Graham Rahal making a stop, relinquishing his 3rd position. Scheduled 2nd pit stops for these guys. And he'll go with more blacks. And a little bit of problem on the right rear of that car. And Carpenter comes down. There is Hinchcliffe. So he will be just ahead of Graham Rahal as the race resumes for those guys. Jan?
Well, just to look at a little bit of racecraft. Okay, you leave the pits. You're trying to get up to speed. And, of course, so Viso in the red. Oh, gets into the back of Barrichello. Then yellow of Ryan Hunter-Reay says, okay, I've got momentum. I'm going to go after Viso. But now this is the new rules. Viso can choose the line he wants and stay there. So Ryan Hunter-Reay, okay, I'm going way to the outside. Now I'm going to duck underneath. He gets Rubens Barrichello and stays right in station with Viso. That's the way you have to just kind of plan it out, and now they get to fight for those spots.
And Hunter-Reay did pass E.J. Viso, so Ryan Hunter-Reay's 18th, Viso 19th, and Barrichello is 20th. We've had 4 leaders and 3 lead changes so far in the first half of this race.
Just starting to see Dixon's times come down now, but even a little bit earlier on the blacks, he was still the fastest race car on the racetrack. Even though Power and those guys were on the red, Dixon's got a very good race car right now. But I'm watching the times right now, and now you're starting to see those blacks really drop off on that car.
And when you say he has a very good race car, isn't that so interesting, the parallel between he and Dario? Teammates have all the same information, but their driving style is different enough. It just doesn't work.
Right.
Here is Tony Kanaan and Mike Conway as they battle for 7th position. Kanaan finished 25th last week at and
Charlie
Kimball parks by the fire truck and the ambulance, it looks like. This would be on the back stretch. So Kimball looks like is going to be our second car out of the race other than Alex Tagliani.
Hey, Bobby?
Yeah.
The Delora guys were moaning to me that they're losing money because the cars are too strong. They're not, when they hit each other, nothing's falling off.
Well, they're not doing it right then, Robin.
Andretti and Hildebrand have been deciding who will be in 13th position. That's Hildebrand in front of Marco.
Marco sure had a run on him there on the outside. He was carrying a lot more speed.
Very nicely done.
Yeah.
That was just maintaining your momentum. JR staying low, and next thing you know, all right. Kevin?
Scott Dixon rolling in here in just a moment for his second to last stop of the day, and they're going to shift to the scuffed red tires, the softer alternate tires, taking off the black. So Helio Castroneves now becomes the leader.
Oh, and they have Kevin, you saw it on the right rear.
Again, there's a lot of teams having issues with the rear wheels. For some reason, that's like, well, first we saw it with Andretti, but now we've seen it with 2 other teams that have struggled with that.
And as was mentioned earlier, in warm-up this morning, Ryan Hunter-Reay, the wheel nut came completely off the car. He was able to stop it before he spun or hit anything, but that was the first indication of problems on the rear of the car.
Well, the rear tires are definitely, in general, they say the toughest to change, and now they have restrictions. The way you pull the wheel off and on because of the bodywork, I mean, that's not going to prevent a wheel nut from going on, but the rear tire changers all say it's a much tougher job than it was because you have to be so precise on how you get the wheel on and off.
Yep.
Third and fourth place battle here between Scott Dixon and Will Power. Power coming into this weekend, of course, had won both pole positions for this race, but the streak was ended yesterday, and Helio Castroneves, who was leading, comes in, Marty.
coming down pit road, and just a moment ago they asked him, do you want any changes? John Erickson said, do you want anything done to the car? He said, nope, nothing. That's all he said this run. Now he has blacks on right now. The problem is he's got to go to sticker blacks also, so he's got to go back-to-back stints with black tires here, and other guys have reds on. You just saw Scott Dixon put on the reds. We'll see if these blacks can hold on for him on this run as well.
And here comes Dixon down the straightaway.
I'd run my 10 laps or whatever I can on fuel and get off them again.
Oh, Bourdais.
Wow, Bourdais getting the lowest powered car.
Marco's like been in all kinds of mixes today. He's going to try that save move. That's not going to work on Bourdais, or is it?
Look out.
Woo! Very nice. Marco's not taking any prisoners today.
No, he's not.
I'm impressed with Bourdais in the Lotus. That not doing bad at all. And another guy in the Lotus who's not doing bad is Oriol Serbia, who is currently running in 14th. There is Joseph Newgarden, last year's Firestone Indy Lights champion, making a stop for the Sarah Fisher Hartman team.
Wow. Okay, so Simon Pagenaud's leading.
Yep.
As he peels on pit road, which now means Scott Dixon's leading. And right behind is a Will Power who looks really racy to me.
Yep. Simon Pagenaud reduces the car to 50 miles an hour, Marty.
And even with the blacks on, he said the car excellent, so they're going to make no changes here. They are going to put reds back on the car, though. That's when he liked the car the most on that first stint, when he was just so fast. They are going to make a very slight air pressure adjustment to compensate for these scuffed reds, and a clean pit stop for Simon Pagenaud.
Yeah, no trouble there, Marty.
Yeah, quick stop compared to all these other guys today having problems.
Graham Rahal is 5th. Castro Neves 4th, just ahead. So this is the battle for position. Graham Rahal finished 12th last week at St. Petersburg. Having a good race here this afternoon as he battles with Elio for the 4th position. Scott Dixon leads after 50 of 90 laps here at Barber Motorsports Park. The Honda Indy Grand Prix of Alabama. 38 laps to go in this race that's being led by Scott Dixon by 1.1 seconds. An update on Briscoe, who's back in 13th from Marty.
Yeah, he's just struggling right now, Bob. You see people going around him. He said it feels like something is wrong with this set of tires. He has all 6 spots now. A lot of traffic there, isn't there? But all 3 of those guys have passed him in the last couple of laps. He is really struggling. He said again, something feels like something wrong with this set of tires.
Oh, Sato's car
just quit.
Yeah.
Right in front of Serbia. I think
and
look at all in the gearbox.
That did not deter him. It's like, hey, here we go. Right after Briscoe.
As I said earlier, Briscoe, or rather Serbia, is having a pretty good run here this afternoon. He started last and is up to 14th. He's gained 12 positions, more than any other driver in the race so far. And Sato's car, it looks like we may have to go full course caution because the car is not in a particularly precarious position, but nevertheless, I would guess they would want to throw a full course caution. We are, of course, under a local caution right here.
Unless there were a way they could pull him back through that gap. But at some point, the good news is, I suppose, is that everyone has completed their second stop. So it's not going to necessarily change up anybody's pit strategy. And there it is. There's the full course caution.
Down to Townsend Bell.
Yeah, guys, Charlie Kimball went into that brake zone and just felt something pop there at the back end, so he's got a driveline issue. They're done for the day.
All right, we saw him drop out of the race a few minutes ago, and now Takuma Sato, Kevin.
And it's mechanical. Bobby Rahal doesn't know exactly what it is at this point, but it had nothing to do with any contact, but something just broke, and it stopped, and there you see Takuma Sato looking for somewhere to go right now.
There's the legend, Bobby Rahal. Welcome him back to the IZOD IndyCar Series this year. Meanwhile, on track, This is Scott Dixon and Justin Wilson, and Wilson has just had all kinds of handling problems today.
He's been fun to watch up here. I know he's not having fun in that car. That car looks awfully loose. Probably the only guy out there that's loose, but...
And here is Andretti and Kanaan once again battling for position.
And the full course is back to green now. There was a quick indicator that it was going full course caution. That did not actually ever happen. So it was local only. Now they're happy with where Sato's car is. Everything back to green.
Okay, good. Marco Andretti moves up to 8th, putting Kanaan back to 9th.
Marco could gain some ground. I mean, if that yellow did come out, Marco would have made up a lot of track time, and he would have been a threat on this deal because he is flying.
There you see the 3 members of the Andretti Autosport team and where they are running. We go back to James Hinchcliffe, who is hanging up there. He's in 3rd position, has been in the top 3 all afternoon. See him go up through the gears.
Not sure our throttle indicator is working right, but
you get to 165 miles an hour right here. Get some compression, 4 Gs, then up over the top.
That's a roller coaster ride.
Yeah, and right here is where really through the seat. That's the highest G loading as you're braking, turning all at the same time. 2nd gear, 70 miles an hour through here, 100 at the curb.
Briscoe is coming to pit lane, Marty.
And you guys mentioned that momentary mention of a full course caution. Roger Penske actually called Ryan Briscoe to pit road, and then last second had to say, stay out, stay out, stay out. Again, he felt like there was a problem with that set of scuffed red tires they put on. This is his last set of sticker reds that go on this time for Ryan Briscoe as he heads out, but they will not be able to make it fuel-wise to the end of the race from here.
I was going to say, he's going to be on those tires a long time.
Yeah, he won't. He doesn't even have the fuel range to do it, so unless there was some super lengthy caution, he will yet be on pit road again. So those tires had to be really bad for them to take that kind of time to do it.
Last year's Rookie of the Year, James Hinchcliffe.
Yeah, I think we're going to see this car in victory lane this year.
I think so too.
He's doing a great job.
Yep.
And he was not afraid to chop Scott Dixon on the start, was he? That was a close moment.
And guys, Mr. Personality, Mr. Hinchcliffe of the IndyCar Series, certainly has fit in here at Andretti. In fact, he calls the other drivers in their little team the Three Stooges. But he said, it felt like home when I came here. It just felt like I was very comfortable with all the environments, everybody around me, all the people. And I instantly fit in. He looks home behind the wheel, doesn't he, as well, having a nice run today. Interesting dynamic here. They've told Will Power in front of him, save your tires. We're going to be on these tires for a while. So I think both these guys kind of in save mode and also trying to catch Scott Dixon as well.
Ryan Hunter-Ray and Graham Rahal are battling for position. This is Dario Franchitti ahead of Ryan Hunter-Ray. Franchitti is 12th and Ryan Hunter-Ray 13th.
Ryan Hunter-Ray trying to gain.
Use reds, you're going to get stickers.
Music to my ears.
Yeah. Stickers, again, refer to new tires. They still have the original label on them. A lot of times they don't actually come with stickers, but that's just racer.
They used to.
Yeah, and so
always stay that way.
Stickers.
Yeah.
Ryan Hunter-Ray's got to run. Whoa! The guy who doesn't like blocking is defending.
And Franchitti is going to lose the spot.
Well, he said there was no place for defending, but you know, if the rule is you can, you got to do it. And he did a job there, but he still...
You know, drivers say one thing and do others.
Well, no,
you should know that.
If you don't, you know, he does not like the fact that you can do that, but as soon as the rule changes, you got it.
Dario is back in 13th position for the defending series champion.
And that's that parallel that I was talking about. You have his teammate leading with a car that looks fantastic. They have all the same data, but because their driving style is different, yes, they use a different foot on the brake, but that's not it. It's just their style is much, much different with Kanaan now on pit road. Kevin?
And they're coming in much earlier than they wanted to because they have a right rear shock issue. So they had to run back to the paddock area to find that and to make that adjustment. So they have shut off the car here for the moment. So not only is this incredibly costly for time on pit road, but he's going to need another stop to finish this race. So chances at a good finish for Tony Kanaan are out the door.
Had a battery problem last week at St. Petersburg and a shock problem here at Barber.
And worth noting, the shock absorbers, or dampers as they're known, were carried over from last year. So that's not a new car woe. That is something that just occasionally happens. You don't often hear about that in a race.
Scott Dixon with a 3-second advantage on second place Will Power as the Honda Indy Grand Prix of Alabama has just 31 laps to go. The NHL is on the NBC Sports Network. Tonight at 6:30, the Bruins and Rangers collide with playoff positions on the line. It's an original six showdown between the Bruins and the Rangers tonight at 6:30 Eastern on the NBC Sports Network. Wilson spun, but was able to recover and keep going.
Yeah, he's been hanging on to a loose race car all day long, and finally just couldn't hang on to it. Kept it running though.
Right in front of Marco Andretti.
We're headed to the pits to put 4 new tires on that car.
And watch Joseph Newgarden, blue and white, behind the green and white, right there, pow!
Whoa!
There's a front wing coming off with contact with Carpenter. And that is the piece of debris you saw nonstop that was on the racetrack that they have yet to retrieve as far as we know.
Ed Carpenter, by the way, is an owner-driver this year. As we once again turn our attention to Scott Dixon with a 1.7-second advantage on Will Power.
And there's cars that you just saw Bourdais going by that piece again. Certainly one of my favorite looking cars, and Bourdais has been doing an amazing job. He's in the top 10 in a Lotus. Remember, Lotus started late. Every engine that was available were in cars. They lost a couple engines after St. Pete. There was nothing on the premises as a spare, and as a result, no Lotus team is going to go to this Indy 500 test next week, which is really just a bummer, because when you're behind, it just starts to escalate, and they're going to get farther behind.
I'm real impressed to see how well they have done at St. Pete and here, considering that Honda and Chevrolet are working on this program. I mean, they've been working on the program even before that it was announced. I mean, for Lotus to come out this late in the game, as far as I'm concerned, be this close.
Yeah.
I hope they stick with it and they get this thing turned around, because it's been fun to watch these guys. They've done a great job.
And considering they started so late, now they're going to be behind the 8 ball, not doing, again, because of lack of engines, not because they don't want to. But again, we saw Serbia earlier also. I mean, staying with the leader, Dixon. And so the little engine that could, let's hope they can recover. Let's hope they can recover.
Serbia running 15th. This battle we're watching here is for 10th.
Oh, here comes.
Wow. These guys have been together for most of the race, it seems.
That's that 165-mile-an-hour corner we saw Marco do that in earlier. Again, that's just...
J.R. Hildebrand's on board, looking back to Ryan Hunter-Reay.
Now remember, Ryan is in this position because of a little bit of a slow pit stop. That was that miscue we saw, and this is when you're thinking,
that's the spot.
Yeah, wish I had that back.
Hildebrand holding off the challenge for the moment. They move down to the hairpin.
And we just mentioned Serbia. There's Serbia leaving the pits, and that has actually been his biggest challenge of the entire race weekend, is getting out of the pits. The electronics for the Lotus not nearly as advanced as the other two. And Wally, we were down there, and he didn't get out, what, 4 out of 5 times?
Yeah, they struggled.
6th place, Simon Pagenaud comes in, Marty.
Well, the edge of the window, Bob, here to make it to the end of the race. So Simon Pagenaud, the first of those leader cars to pit. Bourdais goes around Hildebrand on the racetrack. Hunter-Reay on the racetrack, my bad. Actually scuffed red tires for Simon Pagenaud as he goes back on the racetrack. A quick fill for him. We'll see all the leaders pit here. They can make it the rest of the way now. Townsend?
Yeah, guys, Sebastian Bourdais having a heck of a run. He's P9. They're putting fresh sticker reds on. This is a heck of a run for a late-to-start team and a late-to-start engine program. They got a problem on the right front. They got it on. He's up and away. Lost a few seconds.
Now, most people have had problems on the rear of the car. It was a right front for Sebastian Bourdais, the 4-time champion in Champ Car and Kart. And we anticipate a stop from the 2nd place. Yes, there he is. Will Power on pit lane for his final stop of the year, of the race, Marty.
Well, hope not for the year.
Yeah, hopefully not for the year, hopefully just for the race, Bob. But he said these tires have absolutely fallen off, Tim. I've got to come in. Talking to Tim Cindric, his strategist, they'll put on 6 laps, scuffed red tires once again. Again, back-to-back red stints for Will Power. He made a lot of time last time, but lost it at the end of that run. Nice stop for the 12 bunch.
But, you know, again, Kachenevis out there right now running the fastest laps on blacks.
And that had to be by design, because I'm thinking, why would you go black? And we were calling Marty, why? Well, they didn't have any more red. I think it was by design. They like how their setup was.
Kevin.
Mike Conway's in for what should be his final stop. He's had a good day today, running consistently in the 7th or 8th position, and that's a good quick stop. He's away. His parents, Mike and Kim, are over here from England. There's a look at Marco Andretti making his last stop. Remember, they had some damage on that front wing, but did not change it, so Marco is still in the mix with an opportunity for a top 10. There's Ryan Hunter-Reay.
On pit road, Kevin getting a new set of tires to the car, had a tremendous amount of understeer. This again will also be scuffed red tires. Scott Dixon coming down pit road, Kevin.
Dixon making his final stop. He is pitting from the lead. Dixon down at 50 miles an hour, goes past the car of E.J. Viso, and then the left-hand turn into his stop. James Hinchcliffe is also down on pit road. Marty?
James Chinchliff comes in. He's going to get scuffed red tires. It'll be 8-lap scuffed tires that they qualified on yesterday. He said, I need just a little bit of an adjustment, and I can be all over Scott Dixon. I can catch him. Car's good enough. We just need a little bit more.
And they lost time on pit road, and it looks like Will Power just came flying by. We'll check the timing. But that slight miscue.
Catherine's leg car is in the gravel.
Just had too much pickup on my tires again. It's been really difficult just constantly moving out of the way.
Here's J.R. Hildebrand making a pit stop.
Yeah, Bob Hubby comes in on his blacks, get rid of those. He's got red scuffs going on for his final stop. Currently P7. Another great run for this guy. See if he can get to the end.
And so that little miscue. Well, let's get to his teammate first, Kevin.
Dario Franchitti has been wanting to come in for a little while. He said the tires felt like they were starting to blister. That was about 8 to 10 laps ago. They told him, just hang on. If they had come in then, they would not have been able to make it on one more stop. Graham Rahal will be coming in. Helio Castroneves is in front of him. Castroneves under the full course yellow now. So Rahal is in. He has been running in the top 5 consistently. Most recently is second. What's happening up front, Marty?
And Kevin, Helio Castroneves beat it on pit road. They can't get the fuel filler out, and he sent them out a little bit late on pit road. They could not get the fuel filler out of the car, but they did beat onto pit road the full course caution in the closing of pit road. They were trying to do that, barely made that happen.
So after all this, Will Power should be in the front, and sure enough, there he is. That's because there was a slight miscue we saw on a rear wheel with Dixon. He was a little slow getting out of the pits as Will Power flashes by. So he gets in a little bit early, has a quick stop, and then there you go.
And that wheel lug, I don't know if it's jumping out of the gun or what the deal is, but whatever's happening, it's an extra 2 seconds, 3 seconds. That's a ton. It's a ton on the racetrack.
There's Catherine Legg's car. That is the reason for the full course caution with 23 laps to go here at Barber. Under another caution here at Barber Motorsports Park, Catherine Legg's car stalled in the gravel trap, and they're retrieving it. And everybody has made his last pit stop, so when we go green, we should have a scramble for position, 22 laps to go. Now, there are some lap cars in this mix here, but Bo Barfield, the new race director, told us yesterday that with 20 laps to go or less, the lap cars will be sent to the back, correct?
Right, and that's a great move. Let the guys that are, being up front on the lead lap, competitive, let them race for position. I think that's a really good move.
E.J. Biso is between first and second place, Will Power and Scott Dixon. Hinchcliffe running third, then Rahal.
So all these guys are on reds right now, correct, except for Conway. Conway sits in the 7th spot.
Cool shot, isn't it?
All right, now this is what happened with the little bit of delay, and of course here we have Will Power out on the racetrack, and this is the line where we're leaving 50 miles an hour. Here is Scott Dixon, and clearly as they're at the speed, just sweeping by into the lead, Power takes advantage of that slight little miscue that happened on pit road. It was the right rear wheel nut came out of the gun when it was set down as the wheel was being changed, and there you've got the move for the lead.
And so Will Power is back at the front of the field with just 21 laps to go. Full course caution here. Catherine Legg first, and then they decided also to get Takuma Sato's car off the racetrack. He stopped at that location earlier in the race. They let it stay there, but now, since we are under a caution, they are retrieving it and getting it into a safer position. Okay, let's go back here as Will Power was able to pass Scott Dixon as Dixon had just a little bit of a hiccup on pit lane.
Yeah, let's just watch right here. When he pulls the wheel off and he gets the wheel back on, you'll see the lug nut jump or fall out of the gun, and he's got to pick it up. Doesn't look like much, but that costs a lot of time. And I saw that, I believe, on Hinchcliffe's pit stop as well when Andretti Green had the problem. So they're just having a hard time holding these lug nuts in the gun.
And that's the relationship right there. You can see anytime you're at 50 miles an hour and you have on the outside on the racetrack Will Power. Of course, that wasn't under caution, so it wasn't a race to the blend line, but certainly that little miscue was track position potentially for Will Power. Paid well.
All right, let's talk to Takuma Sato, Kevin.
And he's talking with his car owner, Bobby Rahal, here. Second week in a row, mechanical issue. What happened today?
It looks like we lost the power in the end. So, I couldn't do anything.
Racing was pretty good out there. What was the day like for you on track?
It was pretty good to start and quite exciting, but on the Brock tire we were completely out of balance and we really struggled on that. But as soon as they got a red tire, back on the pace and we took a few cars and we gradually moved up the position. So That was really a shame in the end. We lost everything, and now it's the second week still low that we couldn't finish the race. Really disappointed for the team.
Okay, thanks. We'll see you at Long Beach. That's Takuma Sato. Will Power is the leader as we start to head down the home stretch here in Birmingham at Barber Motorsports Park.
Back at the Honda Indy Grand Prix of Alabama, getting set for the restart. Now, the cars that are in the mix but not in position were sent through pit lane, and so they go to the back of the field as the leaders now have things all to themselves.
Yeah, all these cars are a lap or more down to the leaders.
Will Power, again, his streak of 2 consecutive poles here yesterday was broken, and it happened in round number 2 of qualifying. Ryan Hunter-Reay got the right side tire, left side tires off, and then spun, but here is the critical moment.
And that's Will Power out around the outside, and that had gone to a local yellow. And so therefore they then went red, took that lap away, and he does not transfer. There was a lot of confusion, or certainly a lot of posturing, saying, why couldn't I finish my fast lap? And they have Bo Barfield feels that he wants to be sure anybody who drives through a yellow cannot improve so they don't overdrive. Marty?
And Jan, they certainly made up for it today, showing they have had the fastest car all day long, getting back up here and having the lead. Should be a very interesting restart, though. Remember, these are the 2 guys that battled it out last year, actually duked it out going down into turn 1 here at Barber. And Will told me yesterday, he said, I was very unhappy with my restarts at St. Pete. I was not aggressive enough, expecting me to be very aggressive. This could be the restart for the win, guys.
We shall see. They will not have 2 abreast restarts on ovals this year, but they will on the road and street courses. It's been a very competitive race. We set a new record for most leaders with 5. The previous record was 3, and we've tied the record for most lead changes with 7. And as Marty suggested, that number could go up. Kevin?
One thing of interest with the ABC Supply AJ Foyt team, they are based out of Houston, Texas, and here just in the last week or so, we've learned that IndyCar will be going to Houston in 2013, and AJ's response to that was excellent. I can save on my travel bill. And I'm happy to have a race in my hometown.
Yes. Good to see AJ Foyt back after some surgery and a staph infection after that.
Wally, don't you think it's a great idea that Bo Barfield is just running those lap cars through the pits?
Yeah, no,
an easy fix.
It's nothing more frustrating when you get towards the end of the race and you're trying to race for position. You got a guy that's a lap down in front of you that's in the way. And there's AJ sitting there, Larry next to him, his son. But I mean, yeah, I think it's a really good rule. It's fair, you know, because you ruin the race by mixing up guys that don't have a shot at winning that are in the mix of lead lap cars.
Ticker at the top of the screen showing you the running order. We have 17 cars that are currently on the lead lap. Joseph Newgarden is in 17th, the last car on the lead lap, and 1 lap down is E.J. Viso. 3 cars out of the race, Sato, Kimball, and Tagliani.
Now, I think we'll see probably a little more of the defending your line or however you want to put it now.
You think?
Yeah. I think towards the end of the race, these guys are going to be a little bit more aggressive on giving up track space.
And just like Marty said, I'm looking forward to this kind of rematch between Power and Dixon.
Let's see how it goes. Rutherford takes the pace car off the track. Off the final corner they come. Now look at the movement here as the green flag comes out.
Dixon's got a nose ahead.
But Power holds him off into turn 1. Like Franchitti may have gotten some tires off.
Turn 5 is going to get interesting right here.
Rahal looks like he may have gone around the outside of Hinchcliffe.
Andretti and Pagenaud wheel to wheel.
Look out.
Everybody getting a lot of room to each other.
This is Pagenaud looking back on Hinchcliffe. back to 6th position.
Yeah, I think Conway lost a few spots there too. Remember, he's the only one on the primaries. Everybody else has got reds around him. Conway.
Rubens Barrichello in the two-tone blue.
Good stuff.
You know, in today's Firestone Indy Lights race, there was a lot of passing in that, and I thought, oh, good, that may mean a lot of passing in the IndyCar race. Yeah.
and this has been great.
By the way, should we tell them who won the Firestone Indy Lights race? Okay. No. It'll be on later this week on the NBC Sports Network, so we'll not tell you who won. Dixon now closes in on Power.
Bourdais to the inside.
Real Serbia.
Serbia's going to try going underneath. Barrichello and Conway.
Oh, wow.
And Conway, look at that, Wally.
Yeah.
On those primaries, he was drifting through there.
Waiting for got one little slip up from the guy in front of you, so you can try to make a move.
Rubens Barrichello in only his second Izod IndyCar race has a top 10 going right now, Kevin.
And Rubens Barrichello thinks that Mike Conway wasn't playing by the book there. He thinks that was blocking, and his pit told him, we're calling that in. IndyCar will be alerted of that. That guy's blocking me.
You're the fastest on the racetrack.
Yeah.
Right? Those are our two key radio calls today.
All right, well, a little bit of space now between Power and Dixon with 14 laps to go. They have separated themselves from third place Helio Castroneves.
And Bob, just remember, at the end of the last run, Will Power said his tires really went away. This set of tires they put on actually a little bit older than that set, so it'll be interesting to see if Will Power can hang on here. I don't think this thing's over quite yet.
Hey, guys, I got to say that as critical as we are sometimes of the way these guys drive, they look like professional race drivers in the first race at St. Pete, and they're doing a hell of a job today. I mean, this is the way racing's supposed to be.
And Robin, you're right. I mean, it's fun to see these guys being able to race each other hard and give each other enough room. I mean, it's been really, really fun to watch today. A little surprised on Castroneves. I'm baffled with that whole thing right now because he's, you know, it seems like he's slower on these tires. Lost a lot of ground to Power and Dixon. He's with one of the fastest cars most of the day.
Check on Dario Franchitti. There he is behind Oriol Serbia in 14th position. Serbia in green and blue, and Franchitti in the dark blue.
Franchitti's got a run going here.
Trying to outbrake him. Nope,
he's not close enough.
He made the move awfully late.
He really has to be uncomfortable. I mean, when you look at the pace of Scott Dixon, you just watch Dario. It's just they really haven't found the sweet spot for him with this new car yet. It's just funny how unique each driver's style is to where you've got to fine-tune that. I mean, but again, Serbia's doing a great job today, by the way, who he's chasing down.
Yep. 2 Lotuses right ahead of Dario.
But you will find drivers that have similar feels for race cars, and that's what you want in a teammate.
Yep.
A lot. You know, the thing with these two guys, they have two totally different styles and feels, so it's hard to bounce off, you know, setups to each other.
On the last restart, looked like that Scott Dixon might be able to get the job done, but as the green flag came out and the cars started jockeying for position, it was Will Power who was able to hold off Dixon's challenge going into turn number 1.
And that was a late breaking move by Power. That was aggressive.
Less than 12 laps to go in this one. It's Power Dixon, Castro-Neves, Ray Hall, and Pagenaud here at Barber.
To go at Barber Motorsports Park. Will Power out in front. We'll take you real quickly through the top 12 through the field as we get close to the checkered flag here this afternoon. Will told me that last week was so frustrating for him. He had a perfect car. Spent the first part of the race out front, the last part of the race in traffic, and was not able to get the win. Today, the exact opposite. Finally got to the front at the end of the race and looks like he's headed towards his first win of the year. Kevin.
Scott Dixon almost got Will Power on that last restart. Now he's about 3 car lengths behind Will Power. Not much of a concern on fuel. Many have been told go all the way, but they've been told they still need to look at a number 2.9, so still a little bit conservative for Scott Dixon, Marty.
Elio Castro-Neves was coming into the race hoping for his 3rd time in his career back-to-back wins. It's not going to happen. Elio back in 3rd right now, and oddly enough, the only guy who seems to be a little bit slower on the red tires than he is on the black tires. They made the blacks work all day long, Kevin.
Graham Rahal has been told these are a good set of reds. They've got plenty of life on it, but you still want to manage the tires a little bit, but go after them. They're not concerned as well as the Service Central car tries to stalk down that 3rd place position. Marty?
Kevin, a month ago, Simon Pagenaud told me they would surprise some people. I guess he is correct. 6th last week, 5th right now. Simon Pagenaud having a terrific run. Behind him, James Hinchcliffe, who has to be so frustrated, was 3rd on that restart just a moment ago. Winds up in 6th right now with a lot of cars getting around him. Almost had his career best finish today. Right now, as we said, in 6th. Kevin?
Marco Andretti had that wing issue, and there was concern, and we see him back a little bit in the gap, and here he comes into the turn now. And we've got some action and a pass on the outside. That's Mike Conway. Conway trying to get through traffic there as well. Marco doesn't have any problem with that wing. They didn't change it, and they feel like he's been running the same lap times. Mike Conway has been very happy with the way the car has been throughout the day. Conway is in good position for a good start after some mechanical issues last week. And for Rubens Barrichello, much needed laps today. He was able to finish last week. They ran out of fuel at the end, but he's more comfortable at this racetrack. He's starting to mix it up a little bit. Barrichello starting to figure out the IndyCar Series. Marty?
Kevin, quite a duel going on back here. And how about the weekend for Ryan Hunter-Ray? Friday, they had some turbo problems. Saturday, they had the wreck. This morning, they had the lug nut fall off. They had a lug nut fall off during the race, and yet here he is in the top 10 for Ryan Hunter-Ray, an impressive end of the race. Townsend?
So, Marty, J.R. Hildenbrand continues to soldier on here. He's running P11 right now. No complaints about the pinched nerve in his neck. I asked their PR guy, Kitch, I said, hey, has he complained about that at all? He said, no. I said, have you guys asked about it? He said, no, we haven't even brought it up, just like his ACL. On back into 12th as Sebastian Bourdais went down to talk to Jay Penske. They're having a great run, hoping that this motor hangs on this time. Jay had a big smile when they passed Briscoe earlier. I realized it's because he passed Dad on track. So, there goes Bourdais, just got past JR.
Very good. Nice move. Yeah.
Franchico's right behind.
Yeah, he kind of hung back there and waited to see where JR was going to commit, and then delayed his braking. Nicely done.
Now Franchitti smells a little blood.
When you invite more than one engine into the fray, you always wonder if there's going to be parity. And we talked about how Lotus got a late start, but they're looking good today in a couple of cars. Right now, there are 4 Chevys and 4 Hondas in the first 8 positions, and it's Chevy versus Honda up front. So I think they're pretty paired off right now.
And they have different characteristics. The Chevrolet that you're looking off the back of there for J.R. Hildebrand has twin turbos. In fact, you can actually see just at the bottom of the screen the 2 wastegate exits, kind of like exhaust pipes. And then behind, of course, Dario Franchitti, that Honda has a larger single turbo, which theoretically would possibly be a little better on the ovals where you're on the power longer, the twin turbo better. And now he's going to use that single turbo. He's going to run.
There he goes. See if Hildebrand will do the crossover. No, he hung out there.
So Dario Franchitti now goes to 12th.
And Serbia right there. Like you said, he's doing a great job today, that thing. Yep. Right down 14th spot.
I think it also helped. This was really at no time. There are a few people that had to save a little bit of fuel, but this didn't turn into a fuel race. So that helps Lotus, because when you're behind the game, one of the last things on the checklist is lean fuel map. I mean, they haven't got to that yet. They're still trying to have enough engines to keep everything going. So this played for them better today.
Good battle going on between Elio Castroneves and Graham Rahal as he tries to pass Elio for 3rd. Closing the gap.
Oh, he's got a pretty good run. Yeah, he's got a great run. Where's Elio going to go?
That was kind of a little bit more than one move.
Gradual. That was just a gradual. That was a diagonal line.
Looking inside. Clear.
Wow. And guys, Elio set his car a little bit loose, especially under braking. Just keep that in mind right now.
Now, the way he took that diagonal line, if Graham Rahal would have gone over and even looked like he was going to make a move, then he could almost in some ways force Castroneves into a penalty. In other words, if you move first, then it would be considered a block, but he didn't really do. So let's see. Castroneves comes off the corner. Graham Rahal has a run. So Castroneves, which line is he going to choose? Does he move in reaction to where? I don't think so.
I don't think he did.
No, I think that's fine. I think he just chose a line.
Because Rahal had time to go
he did.
cut underneath him.
He did.
So.
I don't think he moved in reaction to. I think he chose to use a somewhat defensive one, and that was nice.
Yeah, Jan, this is Townsend. I liken that to the old Sam Hornish creep, who was famous for that. He would slowly creep over, left Graham guessing as to whether or not Elio really knew he was there or not. Very clever. That's a sign of a veteran.
Yep.
And good to hear Sam Hornish's name mentioned in our telecast. Where you go, Townsend?
The Hornish creep.
Yep.
Don't forget where Sam learned that from. Elio.
Yeah. There's Andretti and Barrichello.
Oh, Barrichello was much better off that corner.
And Bourdais there also.
These guys are racing hard.
Bourdais is
right there.
Yeah, I mean, he may be taking a look at Barrichello here, down to 5.
Great to have Rubens in the series this year, isn't it? I've been watching him run Formula One for years. And
you know something I didn't know? All his 19 years of Formula One, he was a right foot braker.
Yeah.
I thought that everybody at F1.
Look at Bourdais. Bourdais really good through this section of the racetrack.
Yeah, but now he just lost. Unfortunately, he had momentum and he had to check up.
Yeah.
But Rubens Barrichello, his whole career.
Barrichello to the inside of Andretti.
And he just did that one with his left foot. He's decided to convert with this car even after 19 years of one way. He's decided, unlike Dario, I'm going to switch from golfing right-handed to left-handed. Marcos,
yeah, he, like I said, Bourdais really good up to 1 and 2 and 3.
By the way, we might mention that there is no overtake assist at this point.
No push to pass, overtake assist. That is on the plate. I mean, that's going to come someday. But, you know, you have brand new engine manufacturers just trying to make horsepower. It's not like, oh, by the way, we'd like to have an extra 100 for a push to pass. So,
but there's something to say, too, though, what, you know, you get to this point, like, getting the power down. Yep. You know, these cars start sliding around. Sometimes it's not all that great to have all that horsepower because you can't get it down on the racetrack. And the Lotuses have pretty good torque.
Yep. Well, the one thing Lotus have is they've got, from what I understand from the team.
See, here's where he's really, really good. If he can just maintain that getting through there, but he keeps getting cut and chopped. Now he's got Franchitti all over him.
And he's going to make Franchitti go around the long way. See how that works. Didn't. That's true defending right there. And we're well within the spirit of the rules. The tricky part about the Lotus, as you see them get up to high speed, is that their peak power is right near the 12,000 RPM limit. So the tricky part is that the whole rev control and everything at the top with the turbos, it's all a lot of electronic management, and they are behind on their development. So they can't actually even use all of their 12,000 RPM limit. Oh, here he goes!
Wow, that was a nice move.
Oh, it's just, he got hooked up and just dove in there. Nicely done, Sebastian.
Bourdais is up to 9th position.
I go back to, I just think he's getting all the power down. He is hooked up right now.
Whether you had more or not, he got it to the ground.
Yeah.
Big cheers, guys, down here in the Dragon.
Yeah.
Jay Penske, everybody clapping as he passed in that last corner. It was pretty exciting. Now, pretty cool here because he's got Marco in his Chevy holding up a Honda. It's going to help out Bourdais to get ahead. Here we go. These guys needed this bad, and hopefully they can hang on here for a great top 10.
Ray Grahal still giving Castro Neves.
Oh, but Pagano.
Yeah.
Oh. See, as soon as one person has a little bit of a checkup, the next guy behind is like, I gotcha.
And I think Pagano's the faster of all three of these guys right here.
3rd, 4th, and 5th right there. We're on the final lap of the race. The white flag has gone out to Will Power. There he is. He was denied the pole here yesterday, but has made the noise here in the race itself as he enjoyed a 2.8-second advantage over Scott Dixon. There is Briscoe and Hildebrand as they battled for 14th position. As we follow Will Power. Great strategy from the Penske team today. And prior to this weekend, the furthest back a winner has ever come was 3rd, Helio Castroneves in 2010. But today, Will Power comes from 9th starting position, and he takes the checkered flag to win the Honda Indy Grand Prix of Alabama. His first win of 2012. Team Penske wins again. 2nd place, will Helio, 3rd place rather, will Helio try to be successful in holding off Rahal? Yes. And Franchitti and Andretti.
It's going to go to the wire, and Franchitti's going to get him.
And that would move Dario to a 10th place finish.
I think that's the highest he's been all day, except for the pit stop. So.
That's right. Yep. And here's some more battling as J.R. Hildebrand has Wilson and Simona De Silvestro in his mirrors. Hildebrand is going to cross the line in 15th position. But there is Scott Dixon, and there is Will Power, his 16th career win second consecutive win in the Indy Grand Prix of Alabama. Let's talk to Tim Cindric.
Well, I think it's more of a sigh of relief for Tim Cindric. You had to work hard for that one, didn't you?
Yeah, I guess Scott Ripke taught me how to do that. So that was really good. Anytime you can start 9th in this race, and I think Firestone brought the perfect tire to put on a good show here. So the Verizon crew, these guys, can't say enough about what they open up in terms of what you can do with strategy when you got these guys and Will out there on the racetrack.
And a smart move to start on blacks. They went reds the rest of the day. Will Power gets to victory lane, guys.
Team Penske with the second win of the year, and Team Penske has won all 3 races here at Barber Motorsports Park. Started 9th, went on to win. The last time a winner started as far back in the field as 9th on a road course was Graham Rahal when he won at St. Pete to open the 2008 season. That, of course, was Rahal's win in his very first start. Power pulls the car into the area that he's been wanting to visit all weekend, victory lane. Looks like Elio Castroneves in his 3rd place finish is going to maintain the lead in the points as we head for Long Beach in 2 weeks. We'll be right back.
The Honda Indy Grand Prix of Alabama on NBC Sports Network is brought to you by Honda, an official vehicle of the IZOD IndyCar Series, and by Novolog FlexPen. Ask your healthcare provider about the benefits of FlexPen today.
Well, it wasn't easy for Will Power. He started 9th today, but he goes back to back at Barber, and he pulls in the victory lane. And I'm guessing we're going to get the old Will Power jump off the car thing. Here we go. If he doesn't fall first, everyone. Don't fall, Will. Don't fall. There he goes. Very nice. Well done by Will Power today. Thought you were going to fall there for a second. That wouldn't be a good way to celebrate, would it?
No, I was going a bit dizzy after that. That was hard work.
Were there points of this race where you thought there's no way we can win this thing today?
Man, I wasn't even thinking about the end result. I just kept plotting away every stint. And, the Tim Cindric kept putting me in such good positions so we could really use our speed. And, man, I mean, that was I can't believe we won from 9th. I thought that was never possible at this place. But got to thank Verizon, Chevy. I mean, Chevy engine was spot on. IZOD, Shell Pennzoil. But, yeah, man, got that Verizon 12 car in victory lane again was definitely not what I was thinking this morning. But great job by the team.
Tell me about that last restart. Were you thinking, uh-oh, Dixon's got a run on me. I'm in trouble.
Yeah, man, Dixon's so quick. And even the next few laps, it was really, really hard to hold him off. He was on it. But, man, very happy. Can't believe it.
I would say a win today makes up for what was a very frustrating Saturday for Will Power, who's in victory lane here at Barber. Kevin.
All right, thank you, Marty. Let's get the other side of the story on that last restart. It was highly entertaining. You got a run on the outside. Did you have a chance to try to force the issue there?
Not really. All Will had to do was drive it in deeper and run me off track. So, it's kind of tough when, especially when it's the last restart. Maybe earlier in the day you might get one a bit easier. But stupidity for us to get ourselves in that situation. We had a quick car. I think we were quicker behind Will. I tried to push, but when you're behind, you lose so much downforce and grip, and I burnt the rear tires off it towards the end. But it was a tough day. It's tough to swallow that because I thought we'd done a good job of the way we ran the race and the speed that we had. We got caught up with Simona, and then on the exit we got caught up with Viso. So it was kind of a double whammy that lost us our track position.
Scott Dixon has been the runner-up in both races this year and all 3 times here at Barber.
Well, Kevin, I'm standing down here with Sebastian Bourdais, shaky, emotional. Sebastian, is this like a win for you guys?
I'll just start with sending kisses to Claire, Emma, and Alex. I never do it, but it doesn't hurt. I really, it's a big move for us. Obviously, we're back in the U.S., and it looks like it's not obviously a waste of time. We got a good group of people here, and hats off to this Dragon Racing team. They pulled it off, man. I mean, we had no testing. We just arrived here, got rained off, and didn't test anything during the whole weekend, and that car was dialed in. So really super happy. Thanks, Neil, as well, for all the hard work. He's just had a baby, so a lot of the things going on this weekend.
A great run for these guys. Back up to the booth.
Simon Pagenaud finishes in 5th position, and Sebastien Bourdais comes home 9th in Lotus Power. Will Power, however, is the man of the day, as he was able to get past Scott Dixon as Dixon exited the pits, and Power went on to win here in Birmingham.
Will Power wins here today just outside Birmingham at Barber Motorsports Park. Thanks for staying with us. I'm Kevin Lee with a couple more guys that had really good runs today. Top 5 finishes. Helio Castroneves bounces back after a win and continues his good start to the season with a podium finish. What was your day like today with this really entertaining racing for us?
Well, I have to say, my man here, Graham, we were just talking about, he finished 4th. And, well, first, I want to thank AAA, Shell Pennzoil, Ultra Verizon, and SKF. Those guys keep pushing us, keep giving us great cars, great support. But I have to say, my front tires are gone. In qualifying, already destroyed. And I was like, thanks for the new rules here, because, man, it was very difficult to hold this guy, especially in turn 2. He had such a good front. Coming off the corner, I'm like, I hope it just we stay in control here. But in the end of the day, for us, definitely podium is good for us. Right there, I'm like, oh my God. Actually, that's turn 9. I'm like, Graham, please, Graham, what do I do now, man? I don't know, lift. And thank God, it was bad for him. He would get in the marbles. Thank God, we ended up finishing 3rd and 4th.
Graham, your perspective, you're going after it there.
Yeah, I mean, it was a good day, I think, for the NTV Service Central guys, and we're really proud of this run coming off last week. We were a bit disappointed, and you know, I mean, it's to leave here with these points means a lot. You know, as we go forward into the championship, we're certainly a lot further ahead than we were last year. And of course, you know, running and racing hard here was a lot of fun with Helio. And like I said, you know, the blocking rule in my position, it kind of sucks. But if I were in his spot, I'd do the exact same thing. If you're allowed to do it, then you do it. But you know, we had a good battle out there in the end, and man, the restarts were a lot of fun. I made up all my spots in the restart, so it was good.
Good run for both these guys. 4th for Graham, 3rd for Helio. Marty?
James Hinchcliffe was staring at a career best finish, running 2nd and 3rd for much of this race. 4th on that final restart. Hinch, take us through what happened.
Yeah, you know, we really got hosed by that yellow flag at the end there, because we'd done I think enough to get out of the pits in front of Helio. And on the restart, you know, Graham just got a great run on the outside, and you know, definitely didn't give me a ton of room, but that's racing, and getting offline there allowed Pagenaud to get a run as well. But you know, if it had stayed green, would have beat Helio out of the pits and had to just defend in that 3rd position the last stint. So it's unfortunate the way it played out, having to restart on the outside, because the car was pretty good. Like you said, we were running sort of top 3 all race. Just feel bad for the Andretti guys and GoDaddy, because I think where we finished isn't really the speed that we had today.
The positive side of that is good to be disappointed with a 6th place finish. Townsend?
Yeah, thanks. I'm here with Mike Conway, another single car team with ABC, AJ Foyt Racing. Mike, you finished 7th today. Any drama out there?
Pretty much the whole race, really. It was a handful just from start to finish. The whole car, you know, understeer, oversteer, and then it just gets worse as the tires wear out. And, you know, luckily we just hung in there all day. It felt like a really long day, to be honest with you, just trying to keep position, and had a good little battle there at the end with Rubens. Touched a couple of times, I think, but you know, we managed to keep some position and overtake Marco. So, you know, something to get out of the day. Definitely some points is what we need.
Happy with the top 10 finish. Kevin, go ahead.
And Simon Pagenaud had another good run. 6th last week at St. Pete, 5th today. How about your day?
A very good day. It's good recovery, considering qualifying was a little bit of a miss for us. So I'm really happy the car was hooked up. The HP car was probably the fastest out there today. So congrats to my team. Hat off to them. They did a fantastic job putting me up there.
Great start of the season for Simon Pagenaud, back in IndyCar full time. We've got more to come. Stay with us. Will Power wins here at Barber Motorsports Park just outside Birmingham.
The Honda Indy Grand Prix of Alabama is history here at Barber Motorsports Park, and Will Power records his first victory of the 2012 IZOD IndyCar season. Here's the finishing order, and although it's only the 2nd race of the season, best finishes for Power. Dixon equals his 2nd place at St. Petersburg last weekend. Rahal had his best finish, so did Pagenaud, Conway, Barrichello, Bourdais, and Franchitti. All those guys with their best finishes of the year. All in all, an entertaining day and a race that We thought maybe there would be a little passing, but there was a lot of fun out there.
It was. I think,
just like you said.
Yeah, I mean, I thought these guys race well. They can lean on each other a little bit, and I think it's great.
Townsend said in the pre-race it'd be a knife fight, and I think it was a good description.
And now in 2 weeks we go to Long Beach, which is always one of the premier events on the series. And of course Mike Conway is the defending champion at that race. So we look forward to being in Long Beach, California for the Toyota Grand Prix of Long Beach. That will be 2 weeks from today. It's been a great weekend here in the Birmingham area as Will Power celebrates his victory here this afternoon. Don't miss the NHL on the NBC Sports Network. The Bruins collide with the Rangers tonight at 6:30 Eastern. The IZOD IndyCar Series continues on the NBC Sports Network in 2 weeks, Sunday, April 15th at 3:30 Eastern for the Toyota Grand Prix of Long Beach. For more information on the IZOD IndyCar Series, log on to NBCSports.com. For Jan Beekes, Wally Dalleback, Townsend Bell, Kevin Lee, Robin Miller, and Marty Snyder, I'm Bob Jenkins. See you in 2 weeks at Long Beach.
The Tour de France. The NBC Sports Network thanks you for watching this presentation of the IZOD IndyCar Series.